Hey yo, Wagwan. It's the Random Show, episode number 123 with your host, AgostinhoZinga. Welcome to the stream. Big up everybody that's here. Big up everybody that's locking in. Random Show, episode number 123. Let's go. Yeah. Lock in and join. Random Show. You know the vibes. If you enjoy what you see, make sure you smash that like throughout the entirety of the stream. Links to me all down below in the description. You know what we're doing. Green Juice Warriors. We out here. Green Juice Gang. Let's do it, baby. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Let's go. Random show. Woo! It's me. Big up D double. Oh. Yes. Let's go. Exactly. Mary, you know what it is. You know what we are. Random Show back again. A little special one away. Midday flipping stream. Because I'm off from work, so why not do a little bit something different for the man them. For those of you that tune in, thank you for being here once again. You know what we do over here. We laugh at clips, we talk about nonsense stuff, and we get it flipping cracking. You know exactly what we're doing. You know exactly what we're doing. We're here hunting, striving, living as best as we can and doing the best we can with the time we have available. Welcome back to the Random Show. It's I, your illustrious host, AgostinhoZinga, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. I would not rather be anywhere else in the world than right here with you right now for the Random Show, episode number 1, 2, 3. That's 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, also known as 1, 2, 3. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back. I hope you will have fun. I hope you will enjoy. And if you do me a favor and make sure you smash that like button down below and let me know if you've had a good time. That's all I ask. But yeah, man, here we are back again Many things have happened in the news I want to kind of cover and get into. First things first, I want to quickly mention that I thought was really, really interesting to check out has been this clip courtesy of No Jumper that features Adam22 talking about what he's learned ever since everybody essentially left and said he's a bad boss, they don't like how he acts and stuff. I found this clip really interesting because we're getting to the point where Adam22 is little by little getting to the stage where he's starting to understand why everybody left. He's starting to have the magic word, accountability. He's starting to take some personal responsibility for what led to the max exodus of all those hosts that left No Jumper that was so integral to the success of that platform. I still think it was avoidable. I think if Adam got out of his own way and stopped having an incredibly big ego and stopped being a narcissist and acting like he couldn't do anything wrong and actually acted like a boss and a leader, he could have saved that situation. I don't think he could have it wasn't as bad. It wasn't bad enough that it could not be remedied. He could have fixed it. But because in that moment, he was stuck in his ways, he had his own preconceived notions, he was doubling down on how right he was, and it eventually led to everybody kind of, running away and the platform being what it is, and him trying to basically build it up from scratch again based on everybody kind of leaving and joining all those other guys with their other shows. But I thought this conversation he had recently on the recent episode of No Jumper Show, episode number 203, he actually spoke pretty well about his feelings about No Jumper, the future, and about how he maybe will address things going forward. And I felt like we're finally getting to that stage where Adam from No Jumper is starting to accept some personal accountability for how things kind of played out. So this is Adam22 speaking about it now. I'm going to play the clip for you.
People walk away, you're turning your back.
Right.
So even in the sense of if you don't feel like, oh, they're shading you and turning your back and turned against you.
I guess as soon as I say like, oh, somebody turned their back on me, that just makes me feel like I'm taking the victim role, which I don't want to do. I don't want to act like, oh, like
Right.
poor me, because I'm able to like zoom out of this shit and really like look at No Jumper and look at the position I'm in. And I'm gonna be real with you. Like when we look at hip hop media, all of the people who are successful, who are at the top of their game right now in hip hop media are pretty much in their early to mid 40s. By the time you get into your 50s, for the most part, dudes are starting to kind of age out. I have nothing but respect for people like Sway or Big Boy or whatever, but at a certain point, they've kind of like been in the game so long that you look at them as elder statesmen. Those are the OGs, whatever. But yeah. Charlemagne is like 45. Fucking Whack 100 is 45. Your man's. Joe Budden is like, I think 45. It's like, and then you look at somebody like Ack who's like early 30s, and you're like, damn, he's like hella young to be in the position he's in. Yeah. I'm almost 40. So from my perspective, it's kind of like, how do I continue to make No Jumper relevant and have like a real audience for the next 10 years? Because at some point, I'm just going to age out of this shit, right? Yeah. So if anything, I feel like I kind of came out of this whole shit a lot more ready to just like devote time to really like caring about the culture and paying attention to shit, and having listened to the Dirk album and the Gunna album over and over. It just kind of feels like I feel a little bit, I don't know, like one thing that somebody very wise said to me the other day, they said, what happened to you is what I've seen happen to a shitload of successful people, where you become successful doing one thing and then you want to keep going and you want to like start to master other things and like get into different games. And like for me, in a sense, I think trying to do more political content and trying to, like a lot of people don't even probably know who watch this podcast.
I don't think that's actually right. I don't think the issue was that he was trying to do too much while also running the company. I think most of the issue was his lack of interpersonal skills. If you listen to Terrell, if you listen to AD, if you listen to Duno, if you listen to Gina, if you listen to even the house phone, who's not the most reliable, witness really, because he's got his own issues that he has to deal with. But really, if you get to the crux of the issue, a lot of the people, even someone like a Riley, Yuri's girlfriend, most of the issues and the problems that they have with No Jumper was the lack of interpersonal, skills from the leadership in terms of telling them where they stand, in terms of being clear as to what is expected from them in terms of, I don't know, looking out for their feelings, all this stuff that is probably way more integral to running a company than people probably give it credence for. I know for myself, I haven't really run a company myself. I've done nothing of that sort, but I do know sometimes working in workplaces, if the work is hard, it's one thing, but if you're coming into work and you're secretly hating the people that you work with, it's nearly impossible to make it work long term. You can probably, bite down on your gum shield and essentially pull up your big boy pants and kind of roll up your sleeves and work a really terrible job and make it happen if needs be and bills need to be paid. But if you're somebody at your workplace that you really don't get on along with, and every time you see them in the hallway, you're flipping tense up, or your heart sinks, or you just get really angry, it's very difficult to make that work long term. And I think everybody in that building had some sort of issue with Adam personally, and maybe they didn't speak about it, maybe they didn't vocalize it, maybe that was their fault. But I think as a leader, he should have recognized that and tried to have some sort of powwow and a sit down with everybody to clear the air and to make sure everybody knew where they stood. But what he did instead was throw out little subliminals. He'd say little slick stuff on podcasts. He'd probably say stuff slickly in group chats, maybe on the chat, call in, whatever it may be. So he wasn't really addressing it like a leader. So I think in the end, when that happened, the people that were there and get annoyed with, when they saw an opening to leave, they all left. But they also knew that there was no saving it because they've known this guy for a long time. And the one thing they can know for sure was that they weren't going to get any kind of change in his behavior anytime soon, because Adam is kind of the way he is and he's not really going to change. But we're kind of seeing some acknowledgement of it. But I think him blaming it on him trying to change careers and move his perspective isn't really the right way to go about it. But I can see where he's coming from.
But I spend way too much time studying poker and learning about poker and playing poker and shit like that.
We got to go play poker. You play poker too?
Don't play with me. Don't play with me, Brick Baby.
Bro, we could do that every night. If that's what you want to do, that would be.
You want to come to the World Series with me?
You missed it. It was one last week.
I do.
It was one last week, my boy. I think you.
Court said I do. Adam, yeah. Court's got to watch out, man. He's next on the chopping block. Court has to watch out. Court, you need to step up. If you're watching this wherever you are, please step up because you are next to be cut. You're going to be getting the same free jokes conversation. You're going to get the little passive aggressive bitchiness thing that Adam was doing to AD and Terrell. Please figure this out, my friend Court. You are next on the chopping block, sir. You are next.
He bought in with like 2,000 or 1,000. I'm like, bro.
Well, the World Series is 10,000. You want to play the main event
that's
with me,
what
buddy?
I'm like, yeah.
And it
but
takes
no,
many days.
They said that it was like bonuses if you knock somebody out, like
progressive knockout tournaments, yeah,
shit like that. I never heard, but
it changes everything.
Yeah, that is my end game.
I would love
to be the World Series poker champ.
Because all right, I was talking to academics the other day, and he's like, "Oh, I just learned to play poker." I'm like, "Oh my god, another thing that me and you are going to be competing on or whatever." But like, as soon as I was telling him, I'm like, "Bro, be careful because that shit has consumed my
YouTube
timeline."
timeline. Look, my YouTube timeline. Okay, so Roku TV or is that Samsung TV? They have a World Poker Series channel,
right,
where they play that shit all day.
I mostly play online.
So mad because I be in there
you watch
watching,
that?
and she be like, "Why are you so hyped?"
Also, I don't mind Brick Baby. I know he's a bit crazy and he has divides opinion online. But I think in terms of no jumper, someone like a Brick Baby is a much better fit than the other dudes because he's grateful to be in that position. He's spoken quite openly about how down bad he was before he started no jumper. And also I get the feeling he's not somebody that wants to build a media empire. I think those other dudes, they kind of saw their futures a little bit bigger than what no jumper was available. So maybe Adam has a point there in terms of those guys were always going to leave at one point because they saw the inner working goings of no jumper. They saw how much money No Jumper was making, and they also were seeing how much money they were making from their own streams. So it was only a matter of time before they all decided to kind of pour their resources and kind of do their own thing. And in LA, they have a thing where they kind of don't like being under the thumb of the white man. This is still a thing there. I think maybe in other parts of America, maybe even the East Coast, they're not really that bothered by it. But I think the fact that Adam 22 has one of the biggest hip hop platforms on the West Coast, essentially maybe the biggest, and all these guys are working for him. I think some of those guys it never really sat well with them that they were kind of working for the man in that respect. So maybe the writing was always on the wall. But I think Brick Baby is the perfect person for them at this point because he's a grateful employee. He's a good employee. He's going to play his position. He's going to work hard. He's going to turn up and do what needs to be done and kind of keep it moving. He's not looking to build up his own like all my suspect, like even a Flacco. They're not looking to build their own platform anytime soon. They don't want to get their own Spotify deal. They just want to be working really hard at what they're doing and kind of get us with. So I kind of see what they mean.
Poker people
I'm
are
like,
different.
you
man.
don't see what he got.
It's a whole thing.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't fold. Yeah, I'm in there like.
But the only
go
reason
ahead,
I mentioned
though.
poker is just to
Go
say
ahead.
that, like, I feel like I've become like refocused on what we're doing here, which is really like just trying to have the best possible conversations about hip hop and the surrounding culture possible. Right. And for a while, I feel like I kind of got distracted, or I was just trying to take on too many challenges or whatever. And
No, it's not that. Your interpersonal skills suck, my friend. You're not a very likable person. That's something I don't think Adam 22 has actually ever really acknowledged. When No Jumper started, I think for the most part, I can speak for a lot of people because I was a fan of the show for a long time. You tune into No Jumper because Adam got some of the best interviews with some of the best up and coming rappers at that time. SoundCloud era, all that malarkey. You don't need to go over it again. You know what it is, right? But no one really liked him as a person. He'd ask maybe some good questions because he clearly did his research. He'd actually go as far as listening to albums. So it was a refreshing listen to hear him interviewing people, because he wasn't like Charlamagne or Ebro, where you just turn up and they just ask you questions randomly. They don't actually do any research on you. They don't listen to your stuff. They just basically ask you whatever meta question they want to ask. So maybe that was a win. But over time, when people got to see his personality, he wasn't the most likable guy in the world. People maybe liked Camgirl, maybe Robesman, maybe Housephone more, but it was never even Hakeem. Adam was never the most likable person. He maybe was someone that you maybe admired, you saw as a good, motivational thing because he built the shop and he did his platform, blah, blah, blah. But as a person, he was never that likable, personally. Never, ever, ever that likable. The same thing goes for, and I think it probably even got worse, I think, for me. I started to turn off from him a lot when he started to get into his porn man lane. It was never really an interest to me. It kind of always seemed a bit strange. I know it's obviously a thing. We all watch it and everyone's got interest into it. But when he decided to kind of be the porn man content king, and he tried to kind of, seep that content into No Jumper, it kind of got a little bit too much for me. And I kind of got a bit put off by it because I'm one of the, maybe there's guys out there that like it, but I'm one of the rare dudes out there who doesn't give a single fuck what a porn star has to say outside of the scene I'm watching. I don't care about their opinions on culture. I don't care about knowing about their family. I don't care about what their feelings. I don't care about anything. I don't even want to know their real fucking name. So the fact that this guy was giving them platforms and interviewing them and stuff, and talking about meeting them and what it was like to fuck them and stuff, is like, fucking hell, brother, enough. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not sure if you guys have ever had this happen to you, but have you sometimes had friends? Because this is strange. I've had it before and it's really weird. Have you had friends before who speak to you in graphic detail about what they get up to with their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife? And it's always cringe. Like, they'll come back, I don't know, you're sitting down watching TV, they'll come back in the room like, fucking hell, man, she blew my fucking back out. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Jesus Christ, man, my legs are hurting, man, I was smashing all day. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like their girlfriend or boyfriend, not some random hookup in whatever when you were going out, fair enough. It's somebody that you see all the time because when you go to their house, you say hi to the wife or the boyfriend or the husband, like, you see them. So it's like, bruv, like, keep that stuff to yourself. That's what sometimes it feels like when Adam 22 is talking about fucking smashing porn stars all the time. It's like, bro, just keep that content for Plug Talk. If we want to hear it, we'll go there. But when I'm listening to No Jumper, I want to hear about the latest scandal with Drake. I want to hear about this new Kendrick album dropping. That's what I want to hear about. I don't want to hear you fucking interweaving some of your own personal sexual escapades. I don't really care too tough. It's really, really strange personally. But again, maybe I'm in the minority there.
And like, I don't know, after all this time, I just feel happy, and I feel like I'm able to sort of zoom out, look at what I got, and be happy about it. And I realize that the people who left, that's not going to define the brand when we look at it 5-10 years from now. It's like, because I already feel like we brought in a bunch of super talented.
No, he's right. It's not going to define the brand, but it did define him as a business person and him as a leader. I think a lot of people kind of looked at him sideways when that shit happened because they viewed all those guys as closer friends as they actually were. I still think they were friends. I just think they didn't deal with the situation well. I think that can happen sometimes with friends. Friends can maybe let you down. That does happen. It doesn't mean you were never friends. I just think they had no way of conflict resolving it. There's no conflict resolution. Maybe because too many things got said, too much disrespect was had, too many people were in their feelings. Yes, but the main crux of it was that people definitely left or came away from that impression of the show that Adam doesn't take those people, took his host for granted kind of thing, and didn't accept any responsibility for the part he played in the issue. He kind of blamed it all on Lush. He blamed it all on AD. He didn't understand why T-Raw didn't want to talk to him. Like, he didn't understand that T-Raw had loyalty with those guys because he knew those guys before he knew Adam. Like, very strange way of kind of looking at things that kind of didn't really make any more sense, really. But, you know, at least he's getting there, understanding it a little bit. But I also think, you know, in general, what the approach he's going for now, where it's just, okay, less about promoting these guys as individuals and letting them have their own platforms, and more so turning No Jumper into just like a, you know, what Barstool used to be in the beginning, where you just went there to kind of view the content they had on there. Now it's kind of changed and everyone's kind of got their own shows and their own channels. But I think just having a main kind of hub where you can kind of tune in and hear these guys speak about hip-hop culture stuff in the background is a great way to go about things, as opposed to kind of cultivating and nurturing their talents as bigger media figures. Just have them as hosts, have them as kind of talking heads, and kind of keep it going from there. That makes a lot more sense.
To people, and that there's other people who are trying to come in and everything, and I don't know, I just feel good about shit, and I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I'm not letting the fact that we had a bunch of people leave like rule my fucking mind when it comes
What
to
was this
Yeah, fair enough. I completely understand where he's coming from. And again, like I said, it's some baby steps. Adam was in a place at the beginning where he was taking no accountability, no responsibility for the situation at hand. And now at least he's doing a bit of it and accepting a small, you know, it's not the best, but at least he's doing some of it. So credit to him in that regard. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they get back to where they are. I'm not tuning into No Jumper. I unsubscribed. I don't really care for the show anymore because, you know, I don't really care for the host that much, because I guess I was in it mostly for the people that were commentating on the things, and I've got them on other channels. I can follow them. Fig Community, what's it called? Biggest Bros, back on Fig, blah, blah, blah. So I don't really need to tune into them, but I'm still rooting for these guys, isn't it? Because I love a good comeback story. So if Adam can revive No Jumper and get it back to, you know, maybe close to where it was before and have it popping without all the internal politics, without all the egos, without all the entitlement, without all the greed, without all the backstabbing, blah, 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 that's a win. So let's hope it gets there in the future. What are you guys saying here in the chat? This must be a UK stream. I woke up to P. Yes, big up to Hotel UK in the house. I'm here. He's a great interviewer. I'll give him that. Yes, for sure. I agree. He's not even that great of an interviewer, Adam. It's just because he does research. The bar for being a great interviewer in hip hop is all you have to do is research, because most people, most media figures in hip hop don't even do research. They don't even, you know, listen to your album before they interview you. They don't check out maybe your most recent interviews and see what questions you answered all the time and avoid those fucking questions. They don't even try to maybe figure out interesting questions to ask you that nobody's asked you. They do the bare minimum, really. That's why a lot of artists don't really like doing interviews, because it's either going to be messy shit or it's going to be fucking redacted shit that you've already spoken about a million times. So Adam just does the bare minimum, and it gets them further. And you know, gave him credit for that. But really and truly, everyone needs to kind of improve in that respects. People are saying here he made a friend network of porn stars. Yes, of course. Big up Natasha, just seeing you there. What's good? Said we shouldn't know the inner details of your sexual exploits. Exactly. If you know what, I take that back. If your channel is based on sexual exploits, and I shouldn't go there and be surprised that you're speaking about that sort of stuff. I just mean, if you have a platform talking about hip hop, I don't want to hear about you know, smashing some fucking delinquent in the car park. I don't give a fuck. Like, keep that sexual content for the sexual stuff and keep hip hop stuff for hip hop stuff, because some people get turned off by it. It's just something I want to hear. It's like when I watch porn or whatever, I watch it for what it is. I don't want to fucking hear a podcast about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not my vibe at all in the slightest. Once it's off, I'm already fucking feeling shamed anyway. You know, great sense of shame, right, is feeling me. Once it's fucking done, the last thing I want to do is hear somebody talking about it and pontificating about it and describing it in fucking excessive detail. No. Stop. Okay? Stop. Anyway, moving on from that one, we got this clip courtesy of the subreddit, where it looks like Court has been put on notice, and for some reason he's maybe so zonked out, he must be so high, he doesn't realize what's going on. He doesn't realize that Adam is essentially telling him, you need to pull up. You need to fucking, get with it. You need to fucking come active and actually bring your A game to the pod, because Adam's clearly not happy that Court just sits there. And Court, you'll see him in a minute. He's the one wearing the red hat. He just sits there, mumbles a couple of words, laughs and giggles, and that's it. Doesn't really do much. And the funny thing about these guys, what I said previously before, they really take this stuff for granted. They get an opportunity to make a decent amount of money just sitting in front of a microphone, in front of a fucking camera, talking shit about stuff they've seen on the internet, and they can't even bother to just even perform and be a little bit of a character and maybe exaggerate and just kind of have a little bit of fun and get a bit silly. It's all just, dead, comatose, not in the mood type of stuff. It's like, bro, haven't you guys ever worked like regular 9-to-5s? Haven't you guys ever worked in fucking, bodegas and supermarkets and fucking construction or warehouses? Because some of us have, and we know how deadly that work is. So if somebody gives us an opportunity to make some money by sitting in front of a microphone chatting shit, we're going to run with it. We're not going to take it for granted, but these guys do. And Court has been put on notice, but he's not actually realizing what's going on. He may be a bit too zonked to see what the vibe is, but he needs to fucking wake up, because if not, he might be the next one fired.
Yeah, that is.
And I seen that with you, because you were trying to get Brick to talk shit about Court on your stream, and we're talking about Brick Baby, who don't seem like he really holds his tongue and it has no problem saying something negative about somebody that you don't like or whatever. And I'm watching Brick Baby in that clip, and he's like really being as polite as possible, while also like kind of acknowledging that maybe Court could step it up or whatever. But he was like so not trying to be a dick about it, and not being like, oh, we getting into it, we talking shit now. Yeah. Like, I was very proud of you in that moment. I'm like, that is how we should handle shit.
Yeah.
I was very proud of you.
Nah, I saw that too.
It's like
Court doesn't realize what's going on. They're speaking about the way Brick Baby addressed Court and told him he needs to step up. And he's just there like giggling along with it. It's like, bruh, he's bringing it up for a reason. Look at the little evil smile he's got on his face. That's what Adam does. That's what he's the master of. These little kind of manipulative, sly, passive-aggressive games. That's probably why him and Academics are so friendly, because they've got the same type of energy. These little passive-aggressive barbs that they throw each other. But when it comes to squabbling, when it comes to fucking throwing hands, neither of them are on it. But when it comes to giving little indirects and little kind of, insults here and there, and not really speaking to people face-to-face, man-to-man, and even this, he's congratulating another man for calling out another man on his platform who he should be calling out. If you're the fucking leader, if you're the boss, you're the one that should be pulling Court aside, not fucking letting Brick Baby do it. Again, the same issues that are happening prior are now kind of manifesting in the same way. So maybe there is no fucking saving No Jumper and it's absolutely doomed. But Brick Baby needs to fucking wake up, mate. Wake up, Brick Baby. You're going to get fired.
What do you see? What's the future for No Jumper?
Make good content, like build out the best team of hosts that we can, make the content as good as possible continuously, and just have a good vibe, make everything as friendly as possible.
That's a PTSD there. That's PTSD. That's PTSD of somebody knowing how he fucked it all up, reminiscing all of it, and be like, look, I'm just appreciative. I just want to come into a workplace where people don't want to hate me, where they will not plotting to fucking run away, where they will not plotting to stab me in the back or tell everybody my secrets. I just want everyone to fucking appreciate where they are. Natasha, Brick Baby's the one with the blue hat. Brick Baby's the one with the blue hat. Brick Baby's the one with the blue hat.
Everybody like feel tighter and more connected.
Oh,
and shit,
God.
But at the end of the day, it's like, the fans kind of decide like who the team is to a certain extent, because if the fans are really fucking with somebody, then boom, you're good. And if they don't like somebody or don't want to watch something with somebody, then there's a bunch of people here who are like on camera. Maybe the fans don't fuck with them as much. I like them a lot as people, but they like, if the fans at a certain point don't want to see you on camera, then that shit gets complicated. But
the customer.
So what we're gonna do is this. I feel like they should just focus on having the platform just be kind of not host dependent, if that makes sense. So just make it be a place where people know where to go if they want to watch a live stream or people talking about hip hop shit on particular days, whether it's a Monday at 2 p.m., wherever it may be, and then have them just, rotate the host, but it not be like host, dependent. Because if it gets into this whole like favoritism thing, who the fans like, it's going to get back into the same thing that happened prior with the other hosts and people. It's going to keep chopping and changing stuff just for the sake of appeasing fans who are never going to get appeased. Just have maybe a rotating cast for the No Jumper News, which you already have. Maybe have a set cast for the No Jumper show. And over time, the fans will get to kind of warm to the people that are over there because they know they can trust that you're going to be streaming at a certain day anyway, and they're just going to put up with it. I think the whole idea around trying to get people to like people is not going to be the right way to go about things. That's my only opinion on that one. But again, it's just good to see Adam somewhat accepting some responsibility for the role that he played and trying to make it right. That's the thing that I'm kind of happy to see. I'm not gonna lie. Next on the list, I want to quickly mention this. So Yuri and fucking Riley are going through a really crazy time on social media, or on YouTube to be specific. Yuri's doing this thing where he's essentially streaming. And I think he's doing a thing where I think if you donate $1, that adds like another minute or another minute to the stream. So people keep donating, and then, he just keeps streaming. So essentially, he's going to be streaming for, a consecutive amount of time with no real deadline in place until people stop giving him money. But he's streaming every single day, and he's streaming at home, and he's streaming also during the time when his girlfriend Riley got fired from her job at No Jumper and is essentially at home all the time. And it's one thing that guys don't really take any notice of, and I think they don't speak about a lot in fucking, manosphere YouTube, is how to kind of deal with living with a partner. Like the kind of, the stuff that doesn't get spoken about, little things that you could do to kind of make the experience of living with somebody a little bit more pleasurable, outside of you just liking each other, to make the person not secretly hate you. I don't know, like little things like making sure the plates are washed in the morning so the person that wakes up later doesn't have to kind of jump over things to make a cup of coffee, making sure there's maybe, the condiments or the bare necessities, in the fucking cupboards are there in terms of sugar, olive oil, milk in the fridge, coffee. Like, as a man, there's little things that you can do that can go a long way to kind of make your partner feel like, okay, cool, we're in this together, we're riding together, right? And another thing that's really important too, a small thing that happens often, is sometimes if you're living in, as a couple, maybe one time one person's up and one person's down. You always need to be mindful of that case. So if for instance, the person that's up is up in a big way, let's say for instance, your partner is making way more money than you are, or maybe you're making way more money than they are, as a guy, sometimes it's your responsibility to make sure you don't make them feel bad about it. So if you're recommending, hey, it's date night, let's go out somewhere, don't pick somewhere that's super expensive and then get annoyed that she doesn't want to go there and split the bill. Or if you do want to go there, just pay for the whole meal itself and say, hey, don't worry, baby, it's on me. But even then, sometimes try and make it kind of manageable without kind of, letting it be known that you're taking into account that she maybe doesn't have any money because she's unemployed or whatever it may be. Little things like that. And another smart thing to do also is that if somebody's unemployed, especially if it's the girl, because girls usually get in their heads about things a lot more and are a lot more emotional when it comes to the job stuff and maybe life security and shit, right? Which is understandable. But if that's the case and you're a dude and you got the job and she doesn't, you have to make sure, in my opinion, that you leave the house more than her. You have to just get out of the house, go for a drive, go and chill at the coffee shop, whatever. But give each other space. Don't be on top of each other too much. Because I feel like Yuri here is kind of causing the issues for himself because he's clearly in a good place. His streaming is popping off. He's gaining some traction. I'm sure off the back of these kind of IRL live streams he's been doing, he's probably, got a huge spike in subscribers. People are really paying attention to him. He's feeling like he's finally getting on his way because his idol's Ice Poseidon. So he's finally maybe getting somewhere, to kind of, his career's kind of getting to a place where he's happy. But on the other side of things, his girlfriend Riley's in a complete opposite place. She was, about to go and do a hairdressing course thing, as I think she said. And then at the same time she's going to do the hairdressing course, Adam from No Jumper said, hey, don't take the course or whatever, or don't take this side job. I'm going to pay you more because I like you at No Jumper. He started paying her more, but then soon after, all the drama happened with the old host at No Jumper. Everybody left. Adam had to cut some costs and he ends up firing her. So he kind of gave her a promotion and then fired her maybe a week later. So she's kind of in a weird space. Cool, understandable. So as a dude, I think the onus is on you to give the girl a bit of space. Leave the house, go for a drive, go for a skate, hang out, go for some smokes and chill. But the fact that they're on top of each other is killer. And this is what's leading to these fucking arguments. Look at these arguments they're having on stream. All the time they're having these arguments. It's absolutely crazy to watch and kind of sad because you're seeing them, the relationship deteriorate in real time and they both not realizing what's happening.
I'm sorry, I fucked your shit up again.
Oh
Always
my
fuck
God.
your shit up. I'm sorry.
Look how petty you are. You
I'm
can't,
not petty, you're being
look
rude.
How how am I? Please explain by acknowledging the fact that the stream is being taken down.
Okay.
I can't acknowledge it.
No.
That's rude.
Whatever, dude. No, you're right.
Why are you gonna sit like that?
Because I'm gonna be on the camera right now.
That looks crazy the way you're sitting. Right now, right?
Well, I'm.
Here, should I just turn off the stream?
No.
Dude? Like, what should I do?
Nothing.
You look how you're sitting. You're sitting like an L, just so you can be off camera. Should we not go?
No, I want to.
Why would you want to go if you don't even want to be on
camera? Just let me chill. We were just having an argument, so it's okay.
Bruh.
Like, just let me
It's
chill
not
for
an
a second.
argument. It's like me acknowledging the fact that the stream got taken down, and you're like, oh my god, you're so mean to me because I'm acknowledging the fact that the stream got taken down. Where should I go? Do you have the address still?
Yeah.
So this is all they do on their stream. They're just having all these really strange, exactly, passive-aggressive arguments and whatever may be bickerings. Because at the heart of it, it's when they're on live stream, people send in tips and donations, and he's got his text-to-speech on. And sometimes people start trolling and saying mean stuff about Riley, saying mean stuff about Yuri. So the stream is basically playing them off each other, but they've also got underlying issues that they're clearly not resolving. And most of it comes from the financial side of things, which can cause a lot of issues from relationships, even if you're not on camera. Even if you're not content creators, just at home, the inability to pay for stuff and, you know, cover bills and lending money, that can cause a lot of issues. So imagine doing that stuff in real time in public, how awful that is. So part of me thinks, there's a part of me that thinks, this is my theory, part of me thinks, because I kind of, you know, I maybe have a bit more of an understanding how men think as opposed to women. Part of me thinks Yuri is a bit of a pussy and doesn't really want to break up, like, doesn't have the guts to break up with her. He actually wants to break up with her, and he's doing that thing that most boys do, where you don't want to break up with somebody, so then you start making them want to hate you, instead of just saying, hey, you know, this isn't working out, let's go our separate ways and be friends. He just would rather kind of, you know, do this kind of, oh, let her hate me and then she can leave. But clearly she's not in a position to leave because she's unemployed and maybe she has debts and stuff and things to pay. Like, so they're in a really strange position. They kind of have to live with each other, because I don't think Yuri's in a position where he can maybe afford to pay the rent or whatever on his own. So he kind of has to stay with her to split the bills. But then she also can't afford to go by herself away because she maybe hasn't got all her shit together. So they're kind of in this really strange place. But it could all be rectified again if maybe Yuri kind of was a bit more mature and kind of, you know, acted a bit like a man and took the onus to step out of the house a bit more and give Riley a bit of space. Because I feel like them being on top of each other is what's leading to all the issues they're having. And then to continue, another clip of Yuri making Riley cry in this one, which is fucking incredible. Don't get me wrong. Riley's not the best judge. He's not the best person to kind of look at these clips because she's also an epic crier. They call her Cryly, I think, on the stream as a troll, which is awful, right? And it's awful that he doesn't even ban the comment or the word in his chat. He just lets them say it, right? About his girlfriend's awful. So she cries all the time. She's clearly an emotional girl, but he doesn't go out of his way not to try to make her cry. He knows what makes her cry, and he doesn't try not to. And then when she starts crying, he kind of gaslights her and stuff. So typical manipulation type of tactics here, which is interesting because I think Yuri's a little bit of a dweeb. So the fact that he's able to kind of lord this kind of, you know, thing over her is really, really lame on his part. But let's watch the clip anyway, quickly.
I feel like I should just not be in a relationship, dude. I'm just like a terrible boyfriend.
Thanks, Yuri.
Why? And then you're crying?
Why would you say that? That's fucked up.
Why are you crying? I don't. Why are you so dude? Can we turn around?
Why are you so emotional? You just told your girlfriend that you don't think you're a good boyfriend. You should be alone or something. And you're surprised she's crying. Again, he's lucky she's white. I swear, most of these guys, if you had to deal with I think she might have been, is she Latina? I don't know. Let's say she was a typical Latina woman or black lady. You would have to deal with somebody hitting you or throwing something at your head. Do you know what I mean? The fact that she's just crying is actually a good response, but he's shocked that she's crying after saying that. Absolutely incredible.
Go back home. I do not want to do this trip with you, dude. You're like...
And that kind of like, the worst thing also is how punchable his face is. He has that kind of a sarcastic smile thing that he does, right? Like, that's the most annoying part of it. This face of like, oh my god, dude, what's just the big deal, dude? And also, stop calling your fucking girl a dude. It's so annoying. Like, grow up. This guy's probably 28 or 29 or something, and he's talking like he's 16. Like it's fucking incredible, really. And the maturity of a 16-year-old.
That's
Insane.
You just said what? Oh my god.
Everyone in the chat's calling me an abuser now. So I'm like, bro, like, should I not even?
Everyone in the chat's called me an abuser. So the chat has now become the third wheel of your relationship, right? Imagine you got an apartment with your partner, and then your partner's best friend, right, decides to come over because they want to stay with you guys, right? And they just stay for too long. They sleep on the sofa, they eat all your shit in the fridge, and because it's your boyfriend's friend, you don't want to say nothing. It's not your place. But you're starting to get annoyed now because you can't do your shit. You can't just take off your bra at the end of work. You can't run around, do your shit at home. You're just got this person living on your fucking couch. That's what the stream chat is now to these guys. The stream chat is the fucking third wheel, and it's dictating a lot of their life together. It's absolutely pathetic.
Be in a relationship? Like, am I that terrible of a person?
Okay.
I can't even talk.
No. Stop listening to.
Well, you're the one
chat.
making me seem
Exactly,
crazy
stop
too.
listening to the
It's
chat.
like,
And you're making me seem crazy.
no, I'm not.
Look at his face. Manipulation 101. This guy is awful, man. Look, awful. But it's funny though, because I think he's awful, don't get me wrong, but I also think they're weirdly perfect for each other. Like, you know, some ownership has to be taken on Riley also. You're a grown up. So if this guy is getting on your nerves and causing you enough emotional distress, just leave. Go back home to your parents. I know it's a bit of a failure and you don't want to do it. I get it. But if this is what you're going to live like, this is what it's going to be, especially with Yuri. He's not quitting streaming anytime soon. He's not the kind of person that's going to take the mature route and say, hey, this is obviously causing you some distress. I'm going to wait until you get your job and you're not really around the house too much, and then I'm going to start streaming again. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to keep doing it because he likes to do it. So he's not going to compromise in the slightest. So in that case, I think Riley should take a little bit of ownership in this situation also. But, the situation kind of is the way it is with these people, and they're just being super redacted. But yeah, man, trouble in paradise with these guys, trouble in flipping paradise with these guys, and it honestly isn't going to get any better anytime soon. I can almost guarantee you that it's probably going to get worse before it kind of gets better, to be completely honest. So moving on from that, we need to talk about some clips here that I want to quickly check out for you and play, because I think these might be of interest. So, first things first, I want to say, what are you guys like with racing? Who's fast in the chat? Are any of you guys fast? Can you guys actually run fast? Are you guys zip zoomers out there? Can you blitz down the street? Because that's something that I kind of take credit in being very fast, especially for my size. I'm really fast for how big I actually am, and I take some real kind of pride in the fact that I could actually beat most people in a 100 meters race, especially 200 meters. My fucking pièce de resistance was 200 meters. I could fucking blow people out 200 meters. Now, the reason why I say this is because there's this clip that's going online of UK rapper Stormzy racing some of his friends in the hood, and he doesn't look like he's fast, but he actually runs really fast, considering how much effort his friends are putting into running. He doesn't look like he's absolutely blazing down the street, but he actually is. Let me show you the fucking video. Let me show you the video of it. This is Stormzy all the way over there on the left-hand side, wearing the white t-shirt, and he's absolutely blazing it down the street, but he doesn't look like he's actually running fast. He looks very slow. He's got the most ungangly, unathletic running stance I've ever seen in my life, but he's actually running quite fast. So let's see what you think about Stormzy's pace.
On your mark, get set, go.
Don't you think that he looks awful running? Like, Stormzy has the worst technique. Like, look at his body. Look at his shape. Look at how his feet are placing on the ground. He looks awful, but he's actually running quite fast. They're in a white t-shirt. Look at him. It's actually quite funny how fast he is. And it made me think about my times racing people. And I think I might introduce because this is at a barber shop somewhere in London here called Slider Cuts. I've been to it a couple of times. They're meant to be the premier barber shop, but it's not that great of a haircut, to be fair. If I'm honest, compared to some ends, it's not as HD as I'd want it to be. It doesn't really, it pales in comparison to some of the trims some of these American guys get, especially at the kind of Odell Beckham, standard of fucking fades. But it's definitely up there. And I think people like it because it's got an app. You can basically book your fucking appointments in. You don't have to do that whole black barber thing of turning up and having random people jump in front of you in the queue because they've got somewhere to go or because they're getting sunned or just nonsense. So that whole stuff kind of gets put away from it. So I might have to go to Slider Cuts, get a trim, and then challenge them to a race because I can run. I can run really fast. And the reason why I remember that is because I looked back at some pictures. I did a fucking TBT and I found this old picture of me from a few years ago running at the Westminster Mile. Westminster Mile is this race that they do here in London. Essentially, you run a mile around Westminster. It's timed. You're meant to run as fast as possible. And I think on this particular year, I forgot what year it might be. It might be in 2017. I did this in like 6 minutes or something. That's my fastest I've ever done a minute. I think maybe it was 6 minutes 30 or something around that line. It was the fastest time I'd done a mile. And I was blitzing. My endurance was really good at that time. I was absolutely going for it. Fucking smashing it. And it was funny because there was a time in a period where I was doing this, I think, every year, and it was always hilarious to see people behind you trying to catch you up, thinking that you're slowing down when you're actually just trying to maintain a pace. And then when you get to the last 400 meters, you just turn the afterburners on and they can't understand how you've got afterburners. But obviously I was training every single day to fucking keep that fucking to get my mile time down, and it'll be sick in the end as well to do it because there's traffic and shit, you're crossing the road. So actually trying to beat your mile time running in the hood was actually quite good training because once you then got onto a course with no stops or fucking crossing and stuff, you could blitz and absolutely cane it. But I do remember this picture being hilarious at the time when I uploaded it the first time. I wish I had the other copy, but I deleted it. The other copy of this picture that I've got two pictures. I wish I had the other one. I uploaded it onto my Instagram once, and I didn't notice that on one side of the picture, if you zoomed in enough, you could see my ball bag hanging out. Not on this one, it's not there, but the other picture, I wish I still had it. And I uploaded it on my Instagram, and no one noticed until maybe a couple of weeks later. Somebody DM'd me and said, "Hey, you might want to take that picture down. I can see your entire ball bag hanging out." It was legitimately hanging out on one of these fucking running shorts. So running shorts are good. They allow your fucking thighs to go up and down and shit, and all good range of motion. But sometimes if you got no underwear underneath, the ball bag is hanging out all the way underneath, bro. And it was quite hilarious to see my whole entire ball bag there. The photographer fucking caught as I was running down the street. So yeah, that was a good time. I can't wait to go back running again and racing down the street. As you can see, look at that superior form. I got my thumb inside of my hands. I'm running correctly. My heels are touching my bum. No fucking heel running, heel strike. Definitely all the fucking tension going to the top of, the top of my heels of my feet. I got the low kind of, zero drop shoes, no excessive fucking cushioning and shit. I was going for it. I was absolutely going for it. So big up me. Big up me. Moving on from that one, let's talk about some shit here. We got a clip here first here, the Fighting the Kids subreddit called the Gringo Pappy Hour. Let's see what this is about. The Gringo Pappy Hour. Brendan Schaub's crossing his arms, looking kind of serious. Let's see what I go on here. Actually, just a kind of point here. What do you think this is about? Why does Brendan cut his beard like this? Or just mustache? What's this about? Like, why doesn't he just let it connect here? Why does he do this weird thing? And also, it's not even. He does it and it's never even. Looks kind of lopsided. That looks longer than that side. Like, for all the money he spends on his trainers and his shoes, why don't you just get somebody to cut your beard properly? You get spend that money on fucking cars and, energy drinks and all that malarkey, but then you can't just, get your beard trimmed properly by somebody. Makes no sense really, isn't it? Everyone's got weird, I know I'm the same. Everyone's got weird spending habits and stuff of what you spend and what you don't spend on, but I just can't get around the idea of somebody having all that disposable income to spend on cars and all that good stuff and trainers and flights and shit, but then you don't have the ability to just get somebody to trim your beard for you, on a somewhat weekly basis. So at least you have the form, because I think sometimes maybe you can't, you're not bothered to get a haircut all the time, but sometimes a good thing to get a beard trim is that sometimes the barbers can give you the sort of shape you should do yourself. So you get a haircut, maybe you don't need to get a haircut, but then you can kind of follow the form that they did to cut your beard and kind of replicate that in your own way. That's also an option. But, you know, what do I know? Let's play the clip.
Only like, I mean, authentic Mexican shit. I don't know what it is. And my girl's never been cam, and she's like, "Oh, we'll cook spaghetti, penne, pasta."
How many Mexican dishes can you cook?
That's what I learned. I was like, "Where's the burritos? Where's the tacos?" That's not Mexican.
Chili Reno, like
chili. She cooks all the time.
oh, that's
It's
awesome.
just stuff I don't eat. That's why I'm losing
But
weight.
is
You know what's weird about Brendan? And I've said this before many a times. Isn't Brendan one of the weirdest people to exist? Because Brendan's one of those type of people who clearly has a thing for Latina women. Or women who just have big bums, right? Who have like really voluptuous figures, right? Big tits, big bums, right? So let's say maybe black women, whatever, Latina women. He seems to have a thing for them. Cool. Usually if you're into women from a particular region of the earth, right? Usually that comes with an interest for their culture, for their food, for their music, for their language, for the country. Usually there's something in it. It's not just because you want to fuck the big-titted, big bum woman. It's because you want to tap in a bit of the culture. You feel like inside you are Mexican. You feel like inside you are Brazilian. You're from Honduras. You maybe have some Caribbean in you. Something about that culture resonates with you. And you also appreciate the women in it. But for Brendan, it's purely surface level. He loves the big tits, loves the big bum, loves the voluptuous lips, loves the fucking red hot passion of it. But when it comes to the food and the language, he could not give a single fuck. And how sad is it that he lives in a household where his mother-in-law sometimes visits often, because I think he complains sometimes that she's always there. His wife clearly, even though she's not from Guadalajara and she's from LA and she kind of lies about that, which is what it is. Who knows? Who cares? But clearly she identifies a lot with her Mexican heritage. She clearly cooks a lot of that food because he mentions it all the time, but he doesn't eat it. So Brendan's at home while his wife's cooking fucking delicious, authentic Mexican food. He's even saying in this clip, I think, he mentions that she doesn't even cook like tortillas much. She's not even cooking the stuff that you are used to seeing in fucking Mexican restaurants, right? Typical stuff like tacos and tortillas, because guess what? When Mexicans are at home, they don't eat that shit all the time. There's much more to Mexican cuisine than just tortillas and tacos. So she's cooking all this interesting, expansive food that you could try and sample, and he doesn't want none of it. He doesn't want anything of it. So what's he doing? Is he ordering takeout? Is he ordering In-N-Out while his wife's cooking real authentic Mexican food? While his mother-in-law's in the kitchen cooking something delicious, he's there ordering Domino's, Little Caesars, fucking, like what? Do you know how crazy that is to live in a house of somebody that can legitimately cook and is from a particular part of the world that has nothing to do with where you're from, speaks an entirely different language, not learning the language, and then ordering Domino's and Chick-fil-A and Popeyes and shit? That is embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed. It's so weird. I've never seen it, honestly. And I know there was a whole entire time when I was coming up in the streetwear scene, in the sneaker scene. If you guys know, you know. But when I was coming up in the streetwear sneaker scene, especially here in London, there was a period in time where for some reason, everybody that was involved in the scene had an Asian girlfriend. And I mean like Asian as in like from China, Vietnam, or Japan, or Korea or something, right? I guess it was because of the clothes and the fashion. Everyone had this infatuation with having an Asian girlfriend. But as weird as that was, they also had an infatuation about learning the language. They wanted to learn how to speak Chinese, how to speak Japanese. They read anime. They visit the country all the time. They enjoyed the food. Like, they legitimately had interest in the culture. It wasn't just, I want to come in and fuck all your women. I want to also partake in your culture, right? And have like mixed kids that have different, whatever. For some reason, it doesn't seem to resonate with Brendan. I'm not going to keep ranting about it. Let's play the clip.
Is it always Mexican food?
Only Mexican
Wow.
food.
That's-
Spaghetti, penne, pasta.
And
Our
that's
Latino audience right
I
now is
get it. That's
laughing
fine.
with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's actually the lining of a cow's stomach that they eat. I go, Daddy's on the road too much for you to still eat cow stomach.
What a fucking piece of shit. So he thinks you can't eat cow stomach soup, which I know we've had it in the country that I'm from. We also kind of make a similar type of dish, and it is kind of tasty. It's an acquired taste, don't get me wrong, but it is nice. And obviously, if you're somebody that cares about your fucking jawline and stuff, being able to chew stuff like cow intestines and shit over and over again, like it's like similar to chewing a really hard steak. It's gonna actually improve your jawline. It's good for actually teeth health and gum health and stuff. So there's loads of really good nutritional, bodily benefits to it. But this guy just wants fucking boneless fucking chicken, and piece of crust with cheese in it and whatever. Do you know what I mean? He can't handle some fucking quote unquote poor people food. He's fucking incredible, this guy. Honestly.
Oh, really, dude?
Oh, that's
One
hilarious.
of the reasons I'm not touring so much in the summer is I told my son I'm gonna dedicate myself to him for baseball. Smells in the house. I'm like a refugee in my own house, man.
I feel like a refugee in my own goddamn house.
Your girl doesn't cook?
Oh, that joke. So you can't. Some comedians, right? Some comedians film a comedy special and then they get tired and bored of the bits they did in the comedy special and they don't want to ever hear it again, right? They don't want to ever hear it. And they get annoyed if they do say a particular line or a phrase, it pisses them off. Brendan actually doesn't mind that. He actually thinks, like I said, Brendan's amazing because in his head, he thinks he's fucking hilarious. So he actually starts to say more Gringo Pappy jokes in real life, even though, most people didn't enjoy it and stuff. To him, it was a fucking blockbuster. Absolutely incredible guy.
No.
Yeah.
She doesn't. And we talked about this yesterday. It's so
strawberries.
Fucking hell. Imagine, I'm sorry, but if you're Eric Griffin, you have to punch this guy in the arm. He can't talk about your wife like that. He said she cooks strawberries. Imagine after all the shit he's been talking, basically complaining that his wife cooks lovely, yummy, delicious, authentic Mexican food. He's complaining that there's too much of it in his household, right? And he has to fucking rely on door dashing food for himself. Then, Eric Griffin pops in and says, my wife can't cook, which is sad, but hey, she can't. Everyone's got their thing. And he tries to insult her by saying she cooks strawberries. Motherfucker, you can't talk. You're sitting there eating fucking pizzas while your family's eating fucking delicious home-cooked meals because you don't like, I don't know, spice, or you can't handle intestines and you want stuff to be breaded and deep fried and shit. Come on, man.
Cook strawberries.
Eric Griffin can't sit there and have someone insult your wife like that, man. That's too much. Sorry.
I feel like a refugee in my own goddamn house.
Your girl doesn't cook?
No.
No. That's crazy.
She doesn't. And we talked about this yesterday. It's so
strawberries.
That is brutal. You can't let him say that about your wife. That's actually funny as well. Big up Brendan for actually being funny for once. That was actually funny. She cooks strawberries. Oh, Eric just sitting there letting him insult his wife while he's there eating fucking pizzas in home when there's home cooking it. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, moving on from that one, we've got another clip here to play called Narrative B, again courtesy of the Fire and the Kids subreddit. Big up those guys for doing this. Let's play this right now and see what the vibe is saying. Narrative B, narrative.
And promoting the special, the Gringo Pappy. And thank you guys so much, everybody that watched it.
You can see in his eyes he doesn't believe what he's saying, innit? Even just if you go back to the beginning. Look how sad he looks. Man, sometimes I feel bad for the dude because, the stick he got for the Gringo Pappy was a lot. But sometimes you also have to say to yourself, like, you're a grown-up. You have to have better quality control. You can't watch Gringo Pappy and sit there and think, okay, this is ready to go out. You should have better quality control and know, hey, this isn't ready. I'm going to fucking put this on ice and we're going to go back to the drawing board. Really and truly, because he did it to himself, really. He shot himself in the foot in an epic way, because when that shit came out and people saw that there was no clear difference between You'd Be Surprised and Gringo Pappy, and he actually maybe has gotten worse. Woo!
So I had a hell of a run promoting the special, the Gringo Pappy. And thank you guys so much, everybody that watched it.
Yeah, big up, Rinks. You know how it is. We got the fucking pedo Philip Schofield out. So now I'm out here Now, I mean, no touching kids allowed where I'm at, and we're just talking shit on the fucking live stream, letting the light come in from this side, so I'd have to use the fucking LED light and get my whole forehead full of sweat, and I can sit here and finish a whole jar full of green juice and feel fucking amazing as the chat locks in and tunes in as we play these clips. That's what we're doing in the morning. So big up the rinks, big up the chat. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure you're fucking pressing that like button down below. Let me get close to fucking XQC money and we're all gonna be rich. We're all gonna be balling. 1K to the chat if I get that fucking XQC fucking contract. So jump in there, get involved, smash that like, back your boy, let the sun keep shining, and let's fucking go. Woo.
The love that I'm getting on the street and at the shows, it's insane, man. So that's why I put it on YouTube, and god dang, was that the right choice.
I'm praying that what I'm hearing isn't true. Maybe that's the best way to.
I'm going to say this now. I've said it before plenty of times. You're never going to see, and again, I don't wish it anybody. You will never see Brendan or Brian cry as much as they did when they found out Chris D'Elia got exposed for being a fucking pedo, all right, or a diddler, allegedly. You'll never see them crying as much as they did for Chris as they will do if something happens to somebody in their family. I don't want to say it, but it's the truth. And God forbid something happens to Rogan. Touch wood, it doesn't. But honestly, you will never see them cry as much as they did when they found out Chris got exposed for fucking doing all that nasty shit to girls and fans as with their own family. I guarantee you, it was so fucking weird. Watch. Just you watch.
To put it.
I can't talk.
I can't talk. It's just,
you know, it's like it's a weird thing because I said to Brendan, I said it's like you know, it's like watching someone die or something. And also, it's just you know,
oh, this guy's a phenomenal
compliment. That's such a compliment. It's the same thing. I've had people go, Shab doesn't write his jokes. There's no way. They come to the show.
Who said that? This guy lies about everything. Whoever said Shul doesn't write his jokes? Actually, I've always said, if Brendan actually does want to pursue stand-up comedy, my theory has always been Brendan should give up stand-up. Give up stand-up and do instead live podcast shows where maybe you do little bits and shit, but it's more so a variety show like here comes Chin doing his whole crying Filipino singing voice thing. Here comes Little Brows doing his fucking frat boy rap shit. Here comes, I don't know, the boy that lost all the weight looking all weird and shit, like he's got something wrong with him. Like all that stuff, that should be happening, right? Then he does his little comedy bit. But him just getting on the stage and performing every day is a waste of time. But if he actually does want to pursue stand-up comedy, I've always said Brendan should actually do what Chris Rock does and just hire writers. Chris Rock essentially is the person that presents the jokes on stage and maybe fine-tunes them, but it's very well known that Chris Rock has a writing team that helps him put jokes together, and then he maybe does the final pieces of putting it together into the show and presents it. But he doesn't, it's not a hidden thing, it's a thing that people do. So that's what Brendan should do. Brendan should actually hire a team of writers to put together a fucking bit for him and then present that on stage. Then he might be funny. But his ego is so crazy that he honestly thinks people want to hear his jokes. But his jokes are, you'd be surprised. His jokes are Mexican cookies with salsa on it. Like, fucking horrendous. He needs the help, actually. He actually needs the help.
And then Mark told me, yeah, this guy, you know, thinks you have someone writing your jokes. I'm like, damn, that's a compliment, dude. They think, what do they think? Chris Rock writing them? Chris Rock writing them? Chris Rock writing them? Who's writing them? I'm like, oh, man, that's dope.
This
I'm
guy's
like, what?
funny, man.
That's ridiculous. No, dude. Hell yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
I think we all need a bit of delusion like this, you know? If you actually want to be successful in life, you actually need to be this delusional. You have to believe it. Like, even myself, to sit here on the front of a fucking webcam thinking people want to listen to me, you kind of have to be a little bit delusional. Maybe to get on stage and to do what he does, you kind of have to believe that you're actually better than what you are and actually believe that you're the greatest thing since whatever. Because this is absolutely unhinged.
You think somebody else doing that? That's dope, dude. That's great. That means it's a good show. It was so good. You think somebody else is writing it. Hell yeah, dude. This is great.
This guy's
This is
too much.
fantastic. But let me say this too. I know I'm 6'4", 250 pounds, 255. I know I'm 255 pounds. I know I look like this stuff doesn't bother me. It hurts my feelings, man. It always has.
To say the least.
It always has.
To say the least.
I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants me to come on here and talk about, how my feelings are hurt, because that's not the masculine
He's so disingenuous. This is so fake. Good performance, though. Very fake.
thing to do. But I'm
What's it?
telling you
Mexican
now,
thing or masculine?
how
Mexican.
my feelings are hurt, because that's not the masculine thing to do.
The masculine.
But I'm telling you,
Nigga, pronounce your words. Take your time. He's so lazy. Pronounce your fucking words. He just bails on the words. That's why I don't believe. I think someone said it before in the stream chat. Somebody said they don't believe he has a speech impediment. He's just lazy. I believe that too. I agree with that. There's no speech impediment. There's no accent issues. He's just lazy. He just bails on fucking masculine. He just says masculine and just moves on. He just bails on the fucking words. Listen to
talk
it.
about
Here,
it.
hear it.
Nobody wants me to come on here and talk about, how my feelings are hurt, because that's not the masculine thing to do.
Masculine.
Talk about, how my feelings are hurt, because that's not the masculine thing to about, how my feelings are hurt, because that's not the masculine thing to hurt, because that's not the masculine thing to do. But I'm telling you now,
Masculine.
so all you guys know, it hurts my feelings more than you know. And that's why I'm not on social media. Oh, Monday morning.
Fucking hell, man. I will die on that hill that Brendan Schaub, the Schaub Show, is the worst piece of content in the whole fucking, patina, library, fucking coliseum of content that is Thick Boy. Schaub Show is the worst representation of him as a content creator, him as a host, him as anything. And the main reason is because he does it early in the morning. He clearly does this on the way back home from dropping off the kids, probably, right, to school. He probably comes back and then starts recording. But he's clearly not a morning person. He clearly looks like absolute shit. Like his eyes, his speech, everything's already, impaired day to day. And then now he's getting on stream early in the morning and doing this. Bad decision. He should not do this. He should really, really try to do the Schaub Show later in the afternoon. Get some rest, get a workout in, splash yourself with some cold water. But the way he does it here is just awful, man. And the show really suffers for it because, like I said, the Schaub Show is the worst show he has in the whole library of shows under the Thick Boy.
Not on social media. Oh, Monday morning. That's Mortal Kombat.
He's trying to G himself up. He's so dead. Brendan, man, please, you don't have to do this. And again, that's the thing. These guys make their own schedules. You make your own timetable. You don't have to do this yourself. Just give yourself the best option or the best possibilities to do well. Right? Like, we all have our things. I remember for me, when I was revising in school, in college and shit, what I would do is that in order to revise well, I would just do like I would kind of spec out my day like a school day. So if I had to revise for, some exams coming up, I would just split my revision days up like Monday to Friday, like I was going to school or college, and then have it from 9 to 5 or 8 to 3, whenever my kind of school timetable was, and just do an hour of each subject. And then when it was 4 or 5, I'd stop because I knew my brain couldn't handle more than that. Because once it comes to evening, my brain automatically thinks of playing outside and going to play football, hanging out with my friends. So I knew I couldn't do it. So to convince myself to do it, I would always just stick to that Monday to Friday plan. But I had some friends who would like to do their revision late at night or early in the morning. Everyone's got their thing where they're basically more on fire. Clearly with Brendan, he's not on fire in the morning. He's not a morning person. So just stop doing this bang early in the morning so you don't look like you've been in a boxing ring with Tyson Fury for fucking 7 million rounds. It's unnecessary. You make your own hours. You don't need to be, on stream like looking like that. It's just absolutely crazy. But, again, what do I know? What do I know? Let's move on from that one. Let's see Red Bar, again, courtesy of Fire in the Kids subreddit. It says, Red Bar discusses Bappa's recent accomplishments. Interesting to see what this is about, what Red Bar's saying. Interesting to see. I've seen I'm not sure if you guys have clocked this on the fucking Fire in the Kids subreddit, but there's been a very noticeable change in mood around Red Bar on the No Jumper subreddit. No, Jumper. I keep saying the Jumper. The Fire and the Kids subreddit. Everyone has a bad thing to say about fucking Red Bar. They don't like him as much. What do you guys think in the chat? Are you guys still fans of Red Bar? I feel like some people are kind of off him. Yeah, big up that Indian dude. Appreciate the $5 super chat.
Hey, not to detour from the topic, but have you looked at the new Man United prospect Fengaran Dish? He has penetrating passes.
Hello, that Indian dude. I think that's a troll, that name of that player, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I haven't checked out nothing regarding United new signings, but I will check it out. But I think you're trying to get me there. You're trying to get me. You will not get me. Never. Never get me. You're never getting me with that shit. But I think that might be a troll. I think you're being cheeky there, sir. I think you're being cheeky, but I appreciate the $5 super chat. What are you guys saying in the chat? TFK sub always hated Red Bar. Okay, cool. People falling out of love with Red Bar. Sometimes Red Bar is a bit too much. Red Bar sits down when he pees. Okay. I love Red Bar, says Hot Wheels KNG. What is saying? I can't get with Red Bar. He's always been absolutely insufferable to me. He's just a talentless, rambling wannabe comedian hater. I don't get it. Yeah, that's the funny thing. I remember there's a clip, right, with I wish I could get it actually. There's a clip of, I think his name is David Cross. He's a comedian. Is it David Cross? Let's see if I can quickly Google on my phone. David Cross. Yes, David Cross. So there's an episode of David Cross on a podcast called How Long Gone that I listen to. The podcast isn't really comedy. It's mostly like a culture type of podcast, similar to stuff that I talk about on my podcast, the AgostinhoZinga Show, available on all platforms. Go and check it out. And they had him on once, right? And one of the hosts of How Long Gone, his name is TJ, and he's kind of the funny one, right? He's like always the one with the one-liners and shit. And he got talking to David Cross about how he hates stand-up, and he went to a Rogan show and didn't enjoy it, and blah, 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 blah. And I guess somehow within that conversation, David Cross was able to surmise, which I didn't know at the time because I listened to the show all the time, but I didn't even know. David Cross was able to work out that this guy, TJ, in that show, was a kind of a failed comic. Essentially, he never made it. And maybe part of his resentment towards stand-ups is that he never made it, but then he feels like the people that did make it weren't talented. So he kind of had that weird bitterness, resentment thing. So it must be something that other comedians can notice, or people that are really plugged into the comedy world. Like, I don't think I'm as plugged in as I probably should be. I don't watch enough specials and shit, but I think a lot of people can see that. You can kind of see it in people. So maybe some people notice that about Red Bar, that maybe he's a failed comic in some regard, and he kind of has always had this bit of bitterness that he never made it, despite him thinking he's amazing or whatnot. I don't really know, because I know some of the lore about Red Bar is that he had his own comedy club, I think, to begin with, because I don't really mind his commentary. He's obviously a little bit excessive and a little bit crazy, and he goes really hard on some people, but I think that's necessary. I think, in each space of entertainment, there's always going to be a Red Bar-esque figure. I think in hip hop they've got somebody like that. I think his name's Star. He's kind of a similar type of vibe of a Red Bar. He's going to say the things that no one wants to say. Even like a Corey Holcomb is a good example in that hip hop black space. There's always going to be somebody who's going to push the line and say the things that you're not meant to say, or have the uncomfortable conversations, or call people out on their bullshit and not be afraid of ruffling feathers. And he doesn't want to make friends. I think that kind of helps him in that regard, because he never, he doesn't want to be a part of the LA glitterati. Clearly, he might have some resentment because he didn't make it, and he's not a millionaire driving a purple Porsche like Brendan, but purple Porsches are nice. So when you see Brendan doing his fucking shtick on stage and he's fucking terrible, it kind of, you're within your right to kind of feel a little bit aggrieved that you don't also have one. So I kind of understand where he's coming from in that regard. But I don't mind Red Bar personally. I don't really mind him personally, to be completely honest. He has he has his appeal. He definitely does his own thing. The show's super quality. He's filmed amazing. Really great lighting, camera work, everything about it is really good. And I think, to be honest, he's a bit of a he's a bit of a trendsetter in how he kind of, lays out his fucking set and how he does it. See a lot of people doing the same sort of thing with the screens and the fucking soundboard and whatever, the rants and all that stuff. Like I'm a fan of his. I don't mind him, to be fair.
Okay, so there's Eric Griffin. We'll keep him down there from now. There's Brendan Schaub. New baby on the way. Canceled that entire European tour. I mean, he really thought that was going to be. I mean, do you know how crazy that is, actually?
Hold on. Excuse me, Eddie D. What? Red Bar said Eric Griffin's wife works at Target. What? Is that true? How does he find this shit out, man? I swear to God, this guy is savage. I still remember when he fucking did that stream where he found out that Andrew Santino had like a side piece or something. Is it Andrew Santino? Yeah, big Andrew Santino. Yeah, we're big up Andy for $10 super chat. Big up you.
Has Rogan ever talked about being a comedy club owner? That's fascinating to me. We always hear from artists, but rarely do we hear the executive side from studios, clubs.
Yeah, I think he did. Big up Andy, dude. Thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. I think he did. There's one particular one that he did where he spoke about, I think, when it first opened. So if you go back in the archives or you try and remember when the club opened, there are some shows where he kind of speaks about the club opening. He doesn't speak about it too much business-wise. I think he doesn't want people to know about the business because Joe Rogan's kind of easy to read. When he doesn't speak about some things because he doesn't want people asking questions. So he kind of avoids bringing it up because, he doesn't want people to kind of dig a bit deeper in it. But yeah. Going back to Red Bar, somehow he found out that Andrew Santino had a side piece. Now, if you know anything about Andrew Santino, you know he's pretty private. I don't even know what his wife looks like, right? But he has a wife, right? But he kind of keeps that to himself. So the fact that Red Bar was able to find out that he has a fucking side piece was insane. And he kind of went in a bit on it a little bit, like a bit crazy. I was like, whoa, this guy is on another level. So him finding out that Eric Griffin's wife works at Target is fucking hilarious. She said it on Facebook Live. Yeah, no, I don't care she's working at Target at all, Natashki. I'm just saying, the stuff that he does and says, most men wouldn't do that because there's always a threat of violence. Red Bar doesn't give a fuck because he doesn't go outside. He's similar to academics in that regard. He doesn't go outside, and he's also lives in the place where not a lot of comedians, within that LA space go to. He lives in somewhere in Chicago, I heard, right? He kind of minds his business, so he kind of avoids all those issues. But it just surprised me when he says that kind of stuff because in my head, I know if that was me, and he was talking about somebody that I love like that, and I lived anywhere near, I'd be on his, I'd be fucking going crazy. So the fact that he does this to these guys, and he does it so consistently, so often, and he couldn't get underneath their skin is crazy. I'm still to this day, don't want to acknowledge the fact that he might have run my guy Joe Diaz off of fucking podcasting. I don't want to acknowledge it. I know the truth is probably he did, and he played a big role in it, but I'm still trying to believe that Joey Diaz just got tired of podcasting and he's an older dude now. He's got a book deal and he's got a family. He doesn't want to do it anymore. But the reality is, if I kind of put the pieces together and I trace back the beef that Red Bar was having with, or the beef that Joey Diaz had with Red Bar, because Red Bar exposed that Joey Diaz had some Xanax addiction before anybody knew about it and all that stuff, and it spiraled out of control. And then Red Bar going to beef with Sam Tripoli, and then Joey Diaz went off for him about that, so he's going to kill him and shit, then delete that episode. I'm sure Red Bar ran Joey Diaz off of podcasting, but I don't want to acknowledge it because I love Joey so much. Do you know what I mean? He's my guy. I fucking love the guy, so I don't want to acknowledge it. I don't acknowledge fucking Red Bar's power. But the fact that he found out Eric Griffin's wife works at Target is fucking insane. Honestly, man, fucking insane. No wonder Eric Griffin does the golden hour now. No wonder he's on the golden hour, subjecting himself to fucking Brendan Schaub's intellect, Chris D'Elia, being a shadow of his former self. No wonder, bro. No wonder. God almighty. Because if I'm not mistaken, Eric Griffin's streams kind of dipped a bit in it because he had a bit of a pop during the pandemic where he started to get a lot of traction on Twitch and stuff, but he's so dour and negative and bitter and a hater that I think over time it's kind of hard to keep watching him on stream and stuff. He's probably the type of person that probably banned you from chat if you ask the wrong questions and shit. He's kind of a bit weird. So it makes sense why they're trying to cover their bases, and they're probably getting married soon as well. So do what you have to do to kind of keep the lights on, but it's just fucking hilarious, man. It's fucking hilarious.
So I saw a clip from him the other day that one of these Brendan Hader channels posted. It was incredible. Every day there's a new documentary about hating Brendan, and they're getting good. Because everybody's already told the initial story. I think that's what I hated hearing so much, that initial tale, gringo poppy over and over. But now everybody's doing up-to-date, day-by-day, minute-by-minute Schaub news. That's
pretty exciting.
Now it's a nice watch. You type in Brendan Schaub every day, there's 16 documentaries of various little things that he's up to, and he's up to a lot. So I understand. But this doesn't usually happen. Usually when we all collectively hate somebody and wish for their demise.
No, I don't know. Nope. Natashki, I don't believe that. You're wrong. It's not that Brendan can't grow that beard. I honestly think Brendan thinks that beard he's got looks good. That's why you're wrong. I honestly think Brendan thinks that trim thing he's got where it's got the gap and the things are wonky, he thinks that looks good. I'm sure of it. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that Brendan thinks that looks good. Because even if you don't have a connecting, you can still, cut it in a way where it kind of looks like it connects, and over time it can kind of grow into itself and whatnot. But he actually prefers to have his beard like that. That's a scary thing. Come on, play.
It doesn't really pan out that way, but in Brendan's case, it's starting to actually fizzle out to where he can't put on the facade anymore. It must be getting really scary. There was a video I just watched, and Brian goes, "Yeah, I heard you canceled your tour." And he goes, "Yep, just gonna chill with the kiddos this summer." So he's doing nothing. It's all been canceled. He's just chilling. This is what they say. This is the line. Chilling with the kiddos this summer. He had to say that. He won't address why the tour was actually canceled. Obviously, they tracked it.
How could he?
They tracked it every day. He sold no tickets. He thought he was going to go do a 50-city tour.
To be fair, it's kind of worked, though. Credit to Brendan. It has kind of worked. Everyone's kind of forgot about it and moved on. It's quite a good strategy. I thought it was dumb in the first place, obviously selfishly, because I wanted him to react to it so that I could react to it and make a clip about it. But if you're looking at it from the point of view of Brendan Schaub, it actually was smarter to be like, you know what? I'm going to go mute on this shit. No more. Shh. I'm not going to speak about it. I'm going to pretend like it never happened and just keeping on. Because what can he actually say? Nothing really. It's gonna satisfy anybody's appetite, right? He's not gonna make it make sense because it's clearly super embarrassing that he went out and booked all these big venues and you couldn't sell, even half of the tickets to kind of make it make sense for the venue themselves, and they probably pulled the plug because that's what I think happened. I think most likely the venues decided, hey, we can't have you come over and do these shows because we're gonna be running at a loss. The fees to pay for the security guards are more than the tickets that you've sold. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And that's even more embarrassing because it clearly is an L on your regard that they have to pull the show. So that's embarrassing. So clearly he can't explain it. So best thing to do, shh. So he did it well. That's what Rogan does. Rogan does that expertly. When Rogan doesn't want to address something, he just never speaks about it. And then people stop talking about it and then move on. Like the whole Brian Callen thing. Brian Callen gets accused of rape. He's one of his best friends. He's always on Rogan. He's always on there. He's probably got the second most highest guest appearances on there. Maybe second to only Brendan. It happens. Rogan pretends like it never happened. He just never mentions Brian's name. He never speaks about it. And then over time, people stop talking about it and it kind of moves on. That's actually a good tactic if you want to actually move away things. It's obviously hard because you're going to keep seeing people, trolling you in the comments and stuff. You have to avoid that. But if you can kind of get over the 2-week hounding online, just ignoring it actually works.
Sell out those seats, and that's how he was going to provide for me. He says, well, everyone on the internet hates Chris D'Elia, but he does these 5,000 seaters every weekend, so he gets a lot of money. That's what I'm going to do. I'm Brendan. And it didn't work out. And I don't think it's going to go back. I think he's had his peak as far as how many people have been introduced to him. And now it's just going down, down, down to the point where, nobody's even tuning into these shows he has anymore. So they're making no ad money there. Where's he getting his money from? Where's Eric Griffin getting his money from?
Okay, the money thing I'm interested. The money thing, I don't like to pocket watch people because I think it's lame. But the money thing is something interesting to kind of speak about a little bit. Because I think there's two things happening here. I think either there is a silent benefactor or Patreon or something in the background who's basically funding T-Fat K or Thick Boy, right? Or, most likely, people really underestimate how much money podcasts make, especially ones that have been endorsed by Rogan, right? The whole Rogan effect of being able to be on that show, have people follow you, get 50,000 views minimum on each video, clips always doing great, you've got a good comedy career where you can play most clubs. That actually adds up, sponsors, all that stuff. So I think people either underestimate how much these guys make, or there's somebody in the background, propping the business up, or maybe both. Maybe there's both. I think that's basically what's happening here a little bit. Because for some reason, I think people, because they dislike Brendan so much, they can't. Hey, big up the India dude. Thank you for the $5, my friend.
Good luck on your fitness goals, BTW. For me, dieting is the hardest part. I can get the workout in, but I love my food too much.
Yeah, big up. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the motivation, or the encouragement. Yes, for sure. The food part is always the hardest. It's kind of a common thing people say. You actually lose weight in the kitchen. You don't lose weight in the gym. But it's actually the hardest thing to do. Because I think most people, if they went to, you could lose weight, throughout a long period of time, like a couple of years, by just, watching your calories and whatnot, and fasting and whatnot if you wanted to. But it's the hardest thing to do, which is why you kind of speed it up with the burning of the fat. So that's obviously good. But big up you. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate you, mate. Was going to say, so I think because people dislike Brendan so much, they can't wrap their heads around him making any money. Because if he makes money, that means that some people watch and like what he does, which they do. Because, content is subjective. What I like and what you like is completely different. And, there's no better or, there's no good or bad. It just is what it is. So I think in the case of Brendan, maybe what's going on here is that people aren't really realizing how much money the shows make. Because even during a downturn, like it's kind of like, T-Fat K and Thick Boy are sort of like going down, they're on a bit of a lull at the moment. They'll still be able to keep the lights on. No one's been fired. Doesn't need to be fired. They've got a lean operation now. They haven't swapped studios. They're not downsizing studios. Brendan hasn't sold his Ferrari. They still live in a big house. The kids still go to private school. Their lifestyle's still the same. So clearly, the business is still booming, even though it maybe isn't as good as it once was. So I think they make a lot more money than people actually think they do. That's the thing. I think actually comedians do a good job of pretending like they don't make money. They LARP a lot as working class, which I think helps them, to be fair, with their career, where they LARP as working class or middle class. But I think there's some of those guys who don't, innit, right? Like, what's his name? Like Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. They clearly like to lean into the fact that they have money. But a lot of comedians like to pretend like they don't because it makes you more relatable to your audience. But don't get it confused. These guys have money, like, for sure. So I think that's Brendan's thing. Eric Griffin's thing, I think it makes sense. He does enough shows as a comedian, as a streamer, to make money to look after himself. If his wife is working also, double the income in the household, they're perfectly fine. So I don't think there's any problems there. I think the Brendan thing, people just underestimate how much money his podcasts make, especially when you think of the Patreon on Golden Hour YouTube channel itself, the Fire of the Kid, the clips, his comedy gigs, things that he does all the time, the merch sales, it all adds up. Sponsors.
Chris D'Elia, we know, has his tour. That's the only thing that's saving Chris right now. The tour and the merch. All the Matt Rife style lunatics that allow him to do this and support him. But Brenda doesn't have those people. Eric Griffin doesn't have those people. Let's get a little glimpse of them, and then we'll show you what happened here.
Nothing can stop us.
I don't know about that. Eric, you're next.
So I wonder how what's it saying it? Say my card.
You used to love, just rebrand it enough. It's stronger, better, bigger.
They all hate each other too.
I don't buy that. Also, I don't think they hate each other. I just think they hate the position they're in. I think they all hate the fact that they have to rely on Brendan. That's basically what happens there. And I think Brendan even hates the fact that he has to rely on himself. I think that's the issue. He can't just be on autopilot, just like letting people do, like with Theo Vaughn. Like, you just turn on the cameras with fucking, on King and the Sting, and that stuff was getting views and it was going up. I think they all kind of pissed off because this show is basically a reflection of where they all are in their careers. Because I think if Chris didn't get exposed as a pedo, he's never doing the Golden Hour. He's never even doing that much content with Brendan specifically. I don't think so. Look back to how it was beforehand. It would always be content with like Chris, with Brendan and Brian, but not a lot of Chris and Brendan content itself. It was when he got cancelled, he had no other friends. Brendan kind of slipped in and went to be his best friend, right? To kind of replace the Theo Vaughn role. Eric Griffin, the same thing. He wouldn't have been friends with these guys if they didn't have, no other people to kind of call on, because Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, all those guys aren't going to be hanging around these guys as often as they were in the past. So that's the issue. So that's what the energy you get from it. I don't think they hate each other. I just think they all individually hate the fact that they have to rely on that show because it kind of is representative of where their careers are.
What's up, bro? You keep looking at me today, man.
Here's the show.
You're a handsome guy, man.
Thanks, dog.
You know what it is? You got grays, and it doesn't look bad on you, man.
A little salt and pepper. A
little dusty.
Everyone has a little dust here.
Yeah.
You guys more on your face.
Man, the show goes nowhere. I mean, it's really bad. We watch it all the time, hoping to find something to play on the show. There's never anything even to make fun of. It's that boring. It's that boring. I mean, neither of them try. They barely get through the hour. You could tell none of them are entertained by each other. Maybe Eric Griffin. Eric Griffin, forgets. Eric Griffin can't pick up on.
No, Eric Griffin's happy he's there. That's what energy you're getting. Eric Griffin's happy he's there because he was fighting for ages to be friends with everybody. Remember, the original story is that him and Bobby Lee were meant to do Bad Friends or that kind of podcast. But Bobby Lee kind of, left him on red and essentially went and did the show with Andrew Santino instead, because then it kind of came out through their back and forths that, Eric Griffin's a little bit of a negative Nancy and isn't the greatest person to hang out with all the time. So Bobby Lee didn't really like the idea or the prospect of trying to do a show with him themselves, even though they were really good friends. By the time Eric Griffin thought they were better friends than what they were. So he's always kind of been a little bit on his own with no real crew. Even though he was been on Rogan in the past, Rogan's not really a big friend of his. He never really had a clique. So he's always kind of trying to find a little group to kind of hang out with. And he's been trying to get in with these guys for a long time. And now they've, they kind of welcomed him in because they've got no other option. So he's really happy to be there. That's the energy that you get. The Chris D'Elia energy is obvious. Chris D'Elia, before he got cancelled, let's remember, he was on the cusp of becoming a quote-unquote movie star. He was posting videos of himself training in his fucking garage gym, working out a bunch, looking really, really buff, clearly kind of putting the work in. He was going to star in that fucking zombie movie that Tig Notaro replaced him in. And most likely he had other things in the works. He's probably not going to mention it because he doesn't want to cry. But he probably had other roles that were in the works. If that movie would have done well and he would have added to the box office, he would have ended up doing other shows also. Other movies that would have probably been like maybe TV series. And then it all went pew the moment that first girl came out and alleged what she alleged about him. So that's the energy that you get from the golden hour. It's them just realizing in real time that their careers have kind of stagnated and they're probably never going to get back to the place that they once were. That's the energy that you see from these people, in my humble opinion. Moving on, we've got another kid to play here. This is a clip of Birds in the Fighting Kid. Sorry to bring up you guys again, of Brendan insisting on spilling the beans on the details of the fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary. So if you guys are watching this now and you haven't watched the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary yet and you want to watch it spoiler free, I recommend turning me on mute or clicking off the stream and coming back in about 5 minutes, because Brendan's going to do his best to spoil the fucking documentary. Courtesy of this little clip here I'm going to play for you. So yeah, so turn away if you don't want to be spoiled about the, Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary on Netflix now. Turn away, turn away, turn away. We're going to play now.
So then the day he's going to announce he's going on Jay Leno, and Jay Leno assumed, he goes, I don't want to know what they're going to talk about. I want to be surprised at the natural reaction. But we all assume.
You're killing me right now because I want to see this stuff.
But I'm saying Jay Leno has just assumed that.
You're giving me all the turning points that I want to see.
Well, he becomes governor, Brian.
I know, but right? I want to see these. Can you not give me the
detail?
Yeah, I'm watching the documentary.
He takes pleasure in this, actually. That's the annoying thing about it. He actually takes pleasure in spoiling shows. That's something that used to happen a lot. When I used to first watch The Fire and the Kid, one of the kind of running gags was Brendan doing this, and it got really boring and really annoying very quickly. It was a running joke at first, right? Kind of the running joke was Brian Callen dropping knowledge and he didn't know what he was talking about, making up on the spot. And the running gag with Brendan was that he would speak about some show he was watching and then just spoil the whole thing. And it got tired really quickly, especially when he mentioned a show that you were watching. And it triggered you, nah, don't you fucking dare do it. So he gets real pleasure in fucking spoiling shows for people because he runs to watch these shows because he's got so much fucking free time.
I'm sorry, I know this stuff.
I know, but I want to see it.
Yeah, the bottom line is we got to do a podcast and talk about stuff. So the bottom line is he becomes.
What a piece of shit. We got to do a podcast. So I'm gonna keep talking about it. Like fucking hell, Brendan. Trouble in paradise with these lovebirds, eh?
Governor, spoiler alert, Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor.
I know, but can you not go through that? Like, I know.
I'm not going to give any of that stuff out.
I know
relax.
the story.
I know. Relax. We got a podcast to do, bud.
But you're going through.
No, I'm not. I'm dropping that detail, Brian. No, I'm not, bud. He becomes governor.
Yeah.
Which we.
The passive aggressive energy is interesting, isn't it? Brian's trying to stand up for himself and talk to him in a certain way, but Brendan just keeps steamrolling through. This is what it must be like to speak to Brendan in real life. You try and tell him something and he just doesn't listen to you. He just keeps steamrolling through. I think that's what people realize. That's what people don't realize, that when they first get on the Fire and the Kids subreddit and they see all the guys on there, quote unquote, hating or discussing the podcast, they don't realize that the people on there, for the most part, have realized something that you haven't. That most likely in Brendan's life, he has people who have tried to pull him to one side and say, hey, stop doing this, stop doing that, you're annoying this. Like, they've tried it and he just doesn't listen. So after a while, when somebody keeps doing that sort of stuff, you're like, you know what? Enough. You just leave like Chappelle. You know what I mean? You just leave. You just be like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And you just keep it moving. Because the grown adult, you're not going to keep telling a grown adult how to change things. I think people don't figure that stuff out. And they think, oh, because you always see somebody posting, oh, you guys are mean. He can turn it around. It's like, not really, bruh. This guy's got 2 kids. He's in his 40s, married and stuff. Like, if he's never going to change now, he's never going to change ever. This is how he is.
You all fucking know. If you don't, run yourself into a wall. So he becomes governor, right? And when he's governor, he didn't realize what it entailed.
So passive aggressive. He becomes governor, right? That bit was epic. See the little bickering they're having. They clearly, if Red Bar was to say someone doesn't like each other and spend time with each other, this is these two. I don't believe these guys spend any time, not even 20 minutes with each other outside of this studio. Zero. They only meet and speak on this show, which is what it is. But I'm sure in the past, you know, they would have jumped into their respective cars, went round the corner to grab a donut, or went to a place to go get some fucking Chick-fil-A. They would have done a little dinner date thing or got a drink. Nowadays, I'm almost certain they don't spend a single minute with each other outside of that fucking T-Fat K fortress. I don't believe it. Let's look at the little passer again, the little spice again.
The bottom line is we got to do a podcast and talk about stuff. So the bottom line is he becomes governor. Spoiler alert. Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor.
I know, but can you not go through that? Like, I know.
I'm not going to give any of that stuff out.
I know the story.
I know. Relax. We got a podcast to do, bud.
But you're going through.
No, I'm not. I'm dropping that detail, Brian. No, I'm not, bud. He becomes governor.
Yeah.
Which we all fucking know. If you don't, run yourself into a wall. So he becomes governor, right? And when he's governor, he didn't realize what it entailed.
They are not friends like they once were before, are they, bro? Fucking hell. A couple of rapes, you know, some rape scandals, some cancellations, some exposures can really put some damage between a friendship, mate. Fucking hell. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do? It kind of is what it is, isn't it? Is what it is. Okay, let's go on for that one. We got another clip here called The Ecstasy of Toe. I fucking love this. Again, big up the Fire and the Kids sub. This is going to be good. I've got a feeling this is going to be a fucking blast. Let's put this on the screen. It's called The Ecstasy of Toe. You can check out yourself there. You see the title and shit. Let's put this on the screen. Let's see what the vibe is saying.
Morning, I go, I cannot listen to another podcast of you and anyone you've had at the club, the mothership, and how fun it is.
The abuse that they're giving him about not getting booked is hilarious. I personally still think, though, unpopular opinion, I think if I'm Brendan, I'm going to feel a way that Rogan isn't booking me. I'm going to feel a bit entitled. You told me to do stand-up. You told me to quit the UFC. You gave me my career. You signal boosted me. You got me on Rogan more than anybody else has ever been on there individually. You are my friend. You booked me for your shows at the Comedy Store. You've seen my comedy. It shouldn't be a surprise to you that I'm terrible. You know I'm terrible, but you still backed me up. And now suddenly you got a club and you've gained a fucking conscience. Now you've got some morals. Now you've got principles suddenly. But when you used to book me to play with you at the Ice House or at the Comedy Store at Laugh Factory, lived in LA, it was all fine. Now you've got a club, you finally got standards. If I'm Brendan, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed. I know it sounds redacted to say this, but I'm going to be a little bit annoyed. I'm going to feel a little bit entitled because up until this point, Rogan gave Brendan everything. Now suddenly he's pulling away the gifts. He's turning off the fucking Rogan juice faucet, the tap, whatever it may be. I'm a little bit annoyed. Turn that faucet back on, baby. Let me guzzle on some of that Joe Rogan juice. Come on.
It makes me want to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, because you want to go there and hang out like we used to.
Yeah.
So nobody really...
See? You see? Look at that clip. Look at that picture. I'm sorry. That's the Comedy Store, right? That's Bill Burr, legit stand-up. Chris D'Elia, legit stand-up. Brian Callen, legit stand-up. Rogan, legit stand-up. Now, you can think some of them are terrible and some of them are bad, but these are all like 10+ year comics, all passed at the fucking store, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right? But still regular people that sell a lot of places. Rogan was booking Brendan to open some of these shows with these fucking killers. And Brendan hasn't magically got worse over time. He's always been terrible at stand-up. So why was it okay to book Rogan during this period of time, but now he's got his own club, he can't book him because he's not good enough? Why? I'm actually going to fight for Brendan in this regard. I'm going to fight for him. He should be performing at the Comedy Mothership because he booked him there. Why can't he book him at the Comedy Mothership? Come on, man. Come on.
Nobody really fucking...
That was our light. That was our nightlife. You know, being in the hallways at the Comedy Store and the Improv and the Ice House and the Laugh Factory, and where, you know, hey,
was it Xian? I've got how you pronounce it. It's not Rogan's morals. He just doesn't want to be embarrassed. That's even worse. He just doesn't want to be embarrassed. Like, is that your boy? Is that your boy? Like, do you know that guy? Like, well, one for this. Do you know him?
Podcast tomorrow? Yeah, podcast tomorrow. Those days are gone.
In the parking lot of the Comedy Store. Gone.
That's gone.
When they get into this, I'm going to play another clip later on. When they get into this reminiscing mood, you know they're realizing that, you know, life is not as sweet as it once was. Whenever you see, my opinion is this, right? Really strange thing to put out here. Because I think, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm reading this wrong. But I've seen people online, I don't do it because I don't like getting people's business and stuff, but I think it's really important if you see people on your timeline, especially on Instagram, posting loads of Throwback Thursday type pictures when it's not Throwback Thursday, DM them, especially if you know them. Like, ask them how they are. Find out if they're okay. You know? Like, find out, check in with them. Because usually when people start reminiscing, especially when they're older, it's usually a sign that they're really unhappy with the current state of their life at the moment. And they're reminiscing back to a time when things were good, when things were worth living for and stuff. So check in with people because it's actually a sign that they're going through some really crazy internal turmoil. Now, I'm only saying this, and I sound like a hypocrite because I don't actually check in with people because I don't really give a fuck. But if you have more friends than I do, I think you should. If you see any of your friends on timelines posting too much Throwback Thursday stuff, definitely check in with them because it definitely is a sign that they're not happy with their current circumstances. Similar with this Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen stuff. Oh man, so sad. Things are definitely not the way they once were before. And like I said, they've got no one else to blame but themselves. You get a chance encounter in your life to stumble across somebody in your lifetime, in your adult age, that's willing to share the limelight with you. Somebody that's Rogan, that's bigger than life, one of the biggest personalities out there. You know, selfless in the kind of, you know, his ability to bring people in, and you fuck it all up. You only have yourself to blame, really. Only have yourself to blame. Zero sympathy from my book. Zero sympathy from my end of things. But again, what do I know? I'm sometimes a little bit redacted. Anyway, moving on from that one, let's play another clip here again. Curse sub, what's this called? It says, what's this behind the fryers over here? This is supposed to be a good one. Let's see what this is saying. I think they're talking about that fight companion, 289 or whatever it is, right? Has gone. the one with Pauly Shore and Schmo. And the rumors are out there that it might have to do with that Happy Hippo company not being happy with Pauly Shore mentioning how much he wanted to do coke. So that could be an issue, but let's play this clip here and see what the deal is here.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Is it
Yeah,
Pauly
two
just
fights
asked,
at Pauly.
how much longer do I have to be here?
Pauly's like, the main event's next, right?
I got it set.
It's 8:45. Your set's at 10:30.
Yeah,
I bet you're out of here by 9:30.
9:30. No, I gotta take a quick piss break.
Yeah.
Also, who does it anyway? That's the most. Am I bad in thinking that's the most, like, well, not most, but it's kind of rude. It's lacking in manners. If you're meeting up with a friend, like, it kind of makes you feel like you're like second choice, right? You're not the priority. When your friends kind of use you as a meeting buffer. Do you get what I mean? Like, they've got a spare 2 hours. You happen to be somewhere. I'm going to meet you for 2 and then go to the other thing I want to go to, actually. Like, no, just go to the thing you want to go to, but don't use me as a kind of like, as a stopgap sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit weird. It's a very LA thing to do, right? Like, I'm only going to be here for 45 minutes. And then you spoil the whole flow of the show and then you leave halfway in between. And this guy is, you know, he's a bit of a vibe, Pauly Shore. He's quite expressive, bubbly, fun dude. He leaves and it's very obvious when he leaves. Yeah, big up Austin Casey. Appreciate $10, brother.
You're right about him being on best behavior around Rogan. But Brenda is really good at winning over people when he wants to. He did it with Callan originally and also Theo. When he sees someone that can further his career.
When he feels like he can chum me fast. You know, I agree with you. Big up Austin Casey, I agree with you. The only thing I'd push back on it a little bit is that I think Brendan does that thing that, and again, I know people that did it before in my past because, you know, I've kind of had the displeasure of kind of growing up first within the sneaker community, being a sneakerhead for a very long time, collecting, at my peak I had like over fucking 200 fucking sneakers in my room, like an absolute weirdo, but hardly any clothes. I was one of those fucking losers. I'd buy all those cool sneakers in the world, but I didn't have any clothes. Then I spent a lot of time in the streetwear world, working for brands, having brands, working in the stops, all that kind of shit. Then I moved into fashion. So I've had to experience some of the worst human beings ever to touch the face of the earth, who are involved in sneakers, who are involved in streetwear, who are involved in fashion. In all of those industries, you'll meet people who do this thing where if somebody's above them, if somebody's more clouted up, if somebody's got more of a reputation, they will act so lovely. They're on good behavior all the time. Because they know that person is beneficial for their career. Either that person works at a brand they want to work at, an agency, they've got a link, they're brother and sister of this person. Like, they'll be on best behavior at all times. I think Brendan's the same thing. He will never not act like a good person around Joe Rogan because Rogan's bigger than him and he's got more money than him. And one of the things that Brendan respects a lot is like money and success and stuff. So because Rogan's way more famous, way more likable, all that sort of like, he'll always kind of acquiesce and kind of defer to Rogan's kind of intellect. But over time, you've seen him kind of push back a little bit, but he's always going to have that, okay, Rogan's richer than me, Rogan's bigger than me, Rogan's richer than me, bigger than me, and he's never going to overset the mark. So I don't think Brendan does that to kind of win people over. He just does that because he only respects you if you have money and shit. That's my only opinion on that one. Little pushback there. But big up you.
I gotta take a piss
right.
too.
Okay. Something, and then everyone would be like, "Oh man, you don't do that." Is there anything like that?
What do you guys think again? Let me see in the chat. What do you guys think? Because I've got my doubts. I just think Paulie's he's like a child star, innit? He's not really developed as normal as everybody else. He's kind of, you know what? No, you know Pauly Shore is? Pauly Shore is like what a comedian's meant to be. He's like just wacky. He's genuinely wacky and crazy. He's not playing a role. That's actually what he's like. He's just not, all the way there. Like, that's just how he is. So I don't think it's coke, personally, for me. But I want to see what you guys think. Did Pauly Shore leave to do a line? Did Pauly Shore leave to do a line? What do you guys think? I'm curious because I don't think he did. I just think he just wanders around and he's just crazy. What do you guys think? I think he's just wandering, doing his thing, being crazy. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Did you think he did a line or not? What's the poll saying here? Yes, so far, no, actually. Axe always gets the most results. He never answer the question, just Axe J. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Good Robot's got a good point there. I like a lot of Paulie's movies, true, me too. But I don't think he's the kind of guy I'd want to spend a lot of time with in real life for sure. He's be the worst person to go to a bar with, restaurant. He's a lot to deal with, or just walk around. You know what I mean? He just he'll start wandering, touching people, talking to strangers and shit. He's not the best hang. I definitely think you're right there. So okay, most of you guys think he did go off to do a line. Okay, fair play. I don't think so. I just think he just wandered off because he's just a psycho. But hey, let's go. Isn't he sober now? Ha ha ha! Bro, Richard Williams, people in LA are never sober unless they actually are sober. And the ones that are sober are the ones that actually go to fucking, meetings and shit. The ones that just quit stuff cold turkey themselves is always LA sober. Oh, I'm sober, but I have wine on the weekends with my wife. Like, it's like, bro, what? Like, they're never sober, these guys.
Eye pokes for sure. That's one.
Eye poke, but those happen on accident.
Yeah, if you do it purposely, that's messed up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you stay away from
Groin
those
shots purposely. That's messed up too.
Yeah, that stuff's frowned upon.
Is that the same pizza that Eric was eating? So they didn't even eat it. Brendan bought one pizza to share for everybody, and then Paulie gives the fucking pizza to the dog. Eric was hungry. No wonder he was hungry. Oh, Paulie, man. What are you doing? Like, one pizza and then he gives it to the fucking dog. Oh. Dog's probably going to be shitting himself the whole day as well.
That's in anything. We get to,
Yeah, but there's, it's tough.
I don't know.
That can't be good, but hell yeah, dude. He's not going to shit his pants.
Hey, big up, Dio.
They definitely did. Eddie Griffin, the type of guy to get sold salt, then sniff it all night and kiss a bloke and blame the drugs.
Big up, Theo. Appreciate you. You know why I remember that? You know why I'm laughing? Last time I went to LA, that time I went to see all these comedians and stuff, the only time, first and last time, I was with a group. I went and stayed at the Generator Hotel. The Generator Hostel in fucking Hollywood somewhere, right? I don't know. I think it was. I don't know what area it was. But if you know about hostels in LA, you'll know about it. Fucking run down and fucked up, but it was a good time. A good little crew there. There was a group of Australian dudes, right? And if you know anything about Australian dudes, they love to fucking party. Good vibes. So we go out on a night out. Before I think we went to go Laugh Factory. We're going out and they want to go pick up. They want to get some drugs. They want to get some Class A yayo, right? So they want to go get some yayo. And obviously we don't know where we are, innit? We're just in fucking LA walking around. And I guess we end up going to like a seedy part of LA where there's loads of pimps and stuff around. And these fucking Australians just equate, black guy with a fucking pimp outfit and a cane, he's going to be selling some coke. So they go over to this random dude on the corner of the street. I leave them go like, this is sketchy. I leave them to go do their thing. I think I'm eating some hot wings as they're going to go buy their whatever. And they go to this random guy, this black guy in the street. He's wearing like a purple suit. And they just ask him if he's got coke to sell. He must have looked at them like, wow, this is going to be the easiest lick of my life. So he says, yeah, wait here 1 minute. So he disappears around the corner. He comes back after like 20 minutes and he gives them coke and they pay him the money. I think like $200 or whatever, they give him the money. And luckily, we didn't get too far. We like walk around the corner and obviously Australians are like fucking British people. They just take out the bag and want to fucking sample it right there. He takes a key of it and sniffs it. And instantly he realizes that it's the chalk that you get from like playing pool. I guess he recognized the taste of it. I don't know what they taste like or what it sniffed like. He recognized that it's the chalk that you get to, sharpen your fucking or whatever. Your pool cue, whatever the chalk is called. and then he runs after the guy, and then they start threatening him to beat him up and shit, and then they get the money back, which is lucky because usually pimps have fucking guns or knives on them, but they got their money back. So it makes me laugh when I hear that, because I remember that fucking instance of these guys trying to buy coke from a random pimp. And it didn't end well for them. They got sold fucking chalk. It was absolutely incredible. Anyway, let's go back to this.
Yeah, of course he likes
dog,
it.
bro.
He's a dog. He's gonna vomit all over your car.
Hey man, I want some pizza.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
very
right?
strange. I don't know.
I never trusted it. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't know enough about it. And there's a lot of people that made bank and got out early.
Wow.
Yeah, tons
Really?
of people. Bank.
Wow. Smart.
Okay,
go.
this kind of feels like when somebody's taking their first line and they're just like absorbing the environment. This kind of feels a little bit druggy. I know it's edited in a way to make it look a little bit more druggy, but this feels a little bit druggy. The kind of gaps in the answers, like Brendan's all like alert and on it and stuff. And look at Schmo's face. Do you look at the guys who just hit something? No, it feels a little bit druggy. To be fair, maybe I believe them. To be fair, I believe the fucking person that made the video. Maybe they did go and do a line.
I don't know.
I never trusted it. I didn't feel comfortable.
Wiping the nose.
And there's a lot of people that made bank and got out early.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of people.
Really?
Bank.
Wow.
Oh, he's doing that little
Smart.
mouth water thing. Don't get me wrong. Doing drugs and just drinking water is fucking psychotic shit. If you get to that kind of level, you should just probably quit everything. If you're just doing drugs and drinking fucking cold water, like, you are a fucking psycho.
Here we go. It's just so hard to root against this guy. Such a good dude. Yeah, dude.
And he's way closer to heaven than any of us. So.
Yeah.
Him and Tim Tebow.
It's weird in the comparison to the last guy how this guy
Tim
has
Tebow
zero
was the
movement.
most extreme. He go down on one knee and everything like that.
Darius is right up there.
What the fuck is going on here? Look at this. Hold on, I'll go get a child away. Look what Paulie Shaw's doing. Look what Paulie Shaw's doing to his nose. Okay, I think I believe the thing of like the coke conversation now. Look what he's doing to his nose. Like, who does this? Look at it. Look at this.
He go down on one knee and everything like that.
Darius is right up.
He's digging for gold or looking for some crumbs to rub on his gums or something. What's happening here?
There, look at him, man.
You notice how this guy has zero booty compared to the other guy.
Oh, you know what? He might have actually, to be fair to Paulie. He might have that thing that some druggies have where if you do drugs for a long time, you just have little ticks that look like you're a caner, look like you're a druggie, but you're not. It's like residual effects of like doing too much gear. You always have these little ticks that you do that make you look like you're on something, but you're not. So maybe he has that sort of thing. He has the kind of, you know, he has permanent drug shivers or something. You know what I mean?
Like this booty, like somebody.
Why are you looking
like
at
somebody,
his ass, bro?
Because you didn't see the last guy. His ass was
I
just.
go to his house. We play board games
juicy.
and shit with his team, and he
sick.
makes coffee and brings
And you're
halva.
rooting against him, you piece of shit.
No, I'm not rooting against Benil. I like Charles too.
Yeah, I
Dude,
hear
it
you.
just sucks.
Yeah, I'm
man.
taking
This-
Yeah, he's got a smile of a face of somebody who had a good bit of perico. Shmo's enjoying. He's like, bruh, man, I should come here more often. Then I watch the fights for free. I get to drink, and I get a couple of lines with Paulie, man. Fuck, this is pretty good, dude. He's okay, I might buy the theory that they're all on fucking drugs. I might buy the theory. To be fair, you might need to be on drugs to sit down with those guys. Anyway, moving on from that one. Cool. What's this? Okay, we're gonna play. This is allegedly. This is what's his title? The infamous Happy Hippo Blow ad read from the deleted episode. So, let me end the fucking poll. What you guys saying here? Did Paulie Shaw leave to do a line? 59% said yes. Okay, cool. Everyone here is an adult. Everyone here has seen those things before. They know what happens when adults leave together to all go to the toilet at the same time. Either it's a group of women all bickering and gossiping about you, or it's a group of dudes putting stuff up each other's bums. Usually is the case. So I think I'm going to end the poll there, and I'm going to agree with everybody that said what they said. So we fucking move. Why isn't this fucking thing working here, by the way? Let's see here. Is that working there? Yeah, okay, it's working back to normal. Cool. Let's do this. Okay. So the title of this video now is the infamous Happy Hippo Hippo blow ad read from deleted episode. So the theory goes, or not theory. At the moment, if you go on the Thick Boy channel, the fight companion that Paulie Shaw's on has been deleted. It's not there anymore. Now it could be because Chin is editing the bits out of Paulie Shaw saying what he said, or it could be what people are saying, that one of the main sponsors of Thick Boy overall, I think that they spend pretty penny because he's always shouting them out, Happy Hippo, that CBD company, they weren't too happy with their name being associated with cocaine, because in the midst of them talking, Brendan tried to be clever and do like a little ad read, and then Paulie stepped all over it by mentioning how much he wants to do coke, either in a jokey way or, you know, being serious. Clearly he got back to the Happy Hippo guys and they weren't happy, and with them being the main, you know, sponsors there, they said take the show down, and Brendan agreed. So that's the theory that's going around at the moment. That's why 289 episode is currently down. So let's play this clip here and see what the vibe is on this one.
Hey, Chin, make sure. Chin, make sure he doesn't.
Most finishes.
Chin, make sure he doesn't cut to me when I'm yawning, please.
All right, we'll try our
Too
best.
late.
It was live, by the way.
I know, but
it's already
he's doing a switcher. Just don't cut to me. It's
already been a
That's
meme,
Casey.
though.
Yeah, that's
If you need that nice, warm, balanced, good mood feeling,
there you go,
Paul, you need Happy Hippo.
I line a line of coke, dude.
He just stepped all over it. He got Chin to cue up the graphic and shit, time it well. And he just said, I need some coke. I need some heroin. Let's do that again. That was so good.
Finishes.
Chin, make sure he doesn't cut to me when I'm yawning, please.
All right, we'll try our
Too
best.
late.
It was live, by the way.
I know, but
it's already
he's doing a switcher. Just don't cut to me. It's
already been a
That's
meme,
Casey.
though.
Yeah, that's
If
Casey.
you need that nice,
What?
warm, balanced, good mood feeling,
There you go.
Paul, you need Happy Hippo.
I line a line of coke, dude.
I need a line of coke, dude. I don't need no fucking CBD. Do you know what I mean? I don't believe in that shit. I need some coke.
No, we don't do that.
What
We're
the fuck
talking
is
about
going
Kratom,
on, you
dude.
bunch
No.
of pussies?
No coke. We need Kratom, dude. We need Happy Hippo Kratom. It's the only
What?
product that I use personally. I use it for podcasts,
You
stand
can't-
up.
wait,
You're
you gotta
right,
cut
Paulie.
that part out.
No, you're good, man. We're
It's
live,
live.
right? So
Shit.
it's all good, dude.
The passive aggressive Brendan came out. People have to be careful about Brendan. He's still a fucking trained fighter. He's still a trained killer. He can kill people with your bare hands. So people need to be very careful with him. Don't push him too far, because he may fucking Chris Benoit that entire fucking room. Because that little flash of rage that came over him was crazy. We're live though, right? Right?
Bunch of pussies.
No coke. We need Kratom, dude. We need Happy Hippo Kratom. It's the only
What?
product that I use personally. I use it for
sorry.
podcasts,
You
stand
can't-
up.
wait,
You're
you
right,
gotta cut
Paulie.
that part out.
No, you're good, man. We're
It's
live,
live.
right?
One
So
more
it's
time.
all good. Yes,
You
stand
can't-
up.
wait,
You're
you
right,
gotta
Paulie.
cut that part out.
No, you're good, man. We're
It's
live,
live.
right? So
We're live, right? You want to die, right?
it's all good, dude. It's the best. Gives that nice bounce, good
It's
mood
also
feeling.
Saturday night. People usually do coke on Saturday.
You're right, dude, but I
Instead of
suggest
Coke.
Happy Hippo. Yeah, I don't know if it's as good, but it's a different thing, right? I use
would
the
never.
Paulie is interrupting Brendan the same way he interrupts everybody else. I don't mean to interrupt. I got to actually find a clip of him interrupting the compilation. I'm going to play this after. Oh my God, man. Paulie Shaw's interrupting Brendan the same way he interrupts everybody else. He's finally getting some medicine. He's finally getting a bit of karma in this regard. He's finally seeing what it feels like when somebody doesn't let him finish a thought or a sentence. I fucking love it. Oh my God, man. This is so fucking good.
Concentrate shots, the butterscotch or sour apple. They have gummy powders. They got the shots for you. If you're interested,
They got
trust
Chinese
Happy
ginseng.
Hippo. HappyHippo.com. Promo code STICK23 for 20% off.
Chinese. He called Happy Hippo Chinese ginseng. Yo, this
For
guy.
life. That's HappyHippo.com. STICK23.
With plum
Main
sauce.
event's coming up.
And some plum sauce.
Oh, I like plum sauce.
Yeah, and
with
you put
wonton.
What's going
but
on?
also for those studios too. It's a tough situation for the studios too, right?
Seems like you've never seen a fight in your
I'm gonna
entire
do Joe
life.
for the blow. Here you go.
Here we go.
Man, I got some coke right here, man. I got some cokey, bro.
You know what's funny though? I find interesting about these guys. Paulie's a bit cringe and a little bit of a loser, whatever. But let's be real. He's also a legit comedian. That's how comics are meant to be. Like, they're just crazy, right? They're not like, they're just meant to be a little bit like weird, because essentially you're playing a fucking clown on stage every day, right? You're not going to be the most well-adjusted person in the world. So that's how you should be acting. That's what comedian energy should be like. But they can't even handle it. Look, they're all like laughing awkwardly. They're all kind of tensed up because, you know, they don't really hang around with actual comedians, you know? It's kind of like they're all kind of, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I know he comes from a rich background and he's a bit of a trust fund kid and shit. Nepo baby, I get it. But Paulie also has a little bit of like, you know, randomness about him. Like, you know, like comedic energy and shit. And they just can't handle it. They don't know what to do. They're all looking away awkwardly and shit.
I went to a line right here. And then. All right.
Like at EDC.
I want to do a line right here. Honestly, man, absolutely incredible. Paulie made Brendan Schaub lose a sponsor, maybe. Make him have to delete an episode. And it's funny because I think this was probably the best show they did in a while. Looking at the clips, it looked like a good time. Like, Paulie actually made it fun. He didn't fucking give a fuck. He was, you know, fucking around, busting each other's balls. And it probably was fun to watch live. I bet the stream chat was fucking popping. You know, while they were doing the show. It was actually pretty funny to maybe watch the show and be in the stream chat at the same time. And he has to take it down. Like, the actual best show that he's done in a while on Fight Companion, the vibes were immaculate. They actually all kind of got on really well. So it's a shame Paulie had to leave halfway through. And now he had to kind of take it down. Absolutely crazy, man. But yeah. Chai called Happy Hippo Chinese ginseng. Oh, disrespect is crazy. He completely stepped all over that ad read. He didn't give a fuck. He's like, nah, man, we're not doing that ad read around here, man. Fuck off with that shit. Oh, fucking legend is Paulie, man. Oh, let's talk about this actually. Let's talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about this. Oh, exactly. Yeah, true. Paulie is the only reason we're watching clips of this now. Exactly. The best part of the show, you had to fucking delete it. Like, oh, so annoying. You know, whatever. But, you know, that's what happens when you're kind of beholden to the fucking sponsors. So let's move on and let's see this clip. This clip, I feel like, demonstrates to me that Brendan, apart from the food, I said my rant about the food thing, right? Brendan seems to be one of the weirdos in the world that seems to have a thing for Latina women, but doesn't seem to give a fuck about their culture. Doesn't want to learn Spanish, doesn't really care about the food, actually hates the food, actively goes out of his way not to eat the food that his wife cooks and his mother-in-law cooks, and just generally kind of does his own thing, right? Really, really strange. But it may speak to an underlying issue of him just being the most uncurious person in the world. Like, he just has no real curiosity outside of podcasting and what he does daily. Nothing. To the point where this little clip here I'm going to play for you is a really good example, because he mentions how 1FC wanted to fucking fly him over to Singapore to commentate, and he had absolutely no interest in going. Zero interest in going to Singapore. Probably all expenses paid and shit, you know, talking about the fights, hanging out, getting a chance to visit gyms, do some content, eat some great food. No interest in the slightest. Let's play the clip here where he kind of mentions that, you know, the offer was there and he didn't take it. Absolutely crazy. Let's play the clip now.
The thieves suck.
That's why I like Turkey. Cut her hand off. But see if she steals again.
It's not Turkey, but yeah, Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
And Turkey.
I don't think so.
Pretty sure.
No.
Bring it up.
Bring it up.
Remember Singapore? I remember if you like spit or something, they cane you. Something crazy like that. Yeah.
I know, that's what one championship.
You were dealing with drugs, you got hung.
Dude, one championship was asking me to commentate in Singapore. I'm like,
oh, it's amazing there.
You know, I know it's very clean, but it's like, wait, I can't pee outside?
Bubba, the best food in the world, you're going to love it.
I know, but if I fart on the bus, am I going to jail?
Probably. No
strict
chewing gum.
rules.
You don't want you chewing gum or wearing your hair long. Lee Kuan Yew. He was a benevolent dictator.
He's still there?
Nope, he died. I think his son's running the show.
And is he the same? Like, do I have to cut my hair?
Lee Kuan Yew goes down as one of the great figures of certainly political history in some ways.
But you can't have long hair, big dick? I'm screwed, dude.
Yeah, he was like, no,
I'm screwed.
These
No
bell
big
bottoms,
dick?
chewing gum,
Dude,
and long
no
hair.
big dick, Brian?
And if there was a homeless guy in Singapore, they were Confucian. It was Chinese. It was Confucius. Like the harmony, clean, orderly. I mean, it was an incredible.
Chin,
place.
can you look if you have a big dick in Singapore?
I think.
Because if I'm going to jail for that, lock me up.
You might
Am
be
I
able to have
right?
a big dick. You might be able. But yeah.
Oh,
Let's just do it for fun. Average size. Oh no. Is it true that Singaporean have short penises? Not totally true.
Written by a Singaporean dude.
The human penis length is about 5 inches on average. Well, I'm crushing everybody.
Dude, I'm Godzilla in Singapore, daddy. Right? All right, what do you got, Chin?
So somehow that conversation always, every conversation they have always results in them talking about dicks. It's just standard protocol for these guys. But it's absolutely crazy if that's true. If we believe Brendan's story to be true, that he got offered to go to fucking, Singapore, courtesy of one championship, and do some fights and shit and commentate, and he didn't want to do it. Because he has no interest in going there. The flight's too long. He doesn't like the food or something. Like, this guy is so bizarre. But again, it maybe explains why he doesn't really like Mexican food and shit. That might be interesting. It might not have to do with him not being, just not being curious and kind of liking what he likes, right? Little Caesars, food trucks and stuff. That's about it. But good home cooked Mexican food, he's like, that looks like intestines. The chicken's got bones in it. He's fucking insane. Honestly, the guy is absolutely insane. But yeah, you gotta believe him first in the story. So if you don't believe him, I'm sure it's different. But I kind of do believe him. Let's talk about this clip. This clip is fucking wild, right? I'm somebody that I take a lot of credit. Or I take a lot of, not credit, I take a lot of, what's that credit? I take a lot of credit. It's important to me to be very honest with myself. It's important to me, right? To not gas myself up. To be extremely honest with myself, look myself in the mirror and kind of own up to my mistakes, own up to my shortcomings, and try and do better. I want to do that to myself than have somebody else tell me, right? And I'm also somebody that's very much believes in the doctrine of extreme ownership. Big up Jocko Willink, right? He's got a book about it. And it's a bit waffy and stuff, but essentially you accept everything that happens in your life as something that you can change. Every responsibility is always on you. Because if you put it to outside sources, external sources, it's harder to manage. Even if it is somebody else's fault, it's harder to fix that person than it is to fix and correct yourself. Cool, right? That's the kind of thing that kind of go on. But it's a bit weird, whatever, everyone has their thing. So in this particular clip, Brian Callen admits that he's been a bit of a funk. He's been feeling a little bit down because he's been upset that he's not currently selling out theaters and touring the world and doing all this big stuff that people within his maybe peer group are also doing. And it kind of makes him upset. And Brendan also is upset that Brian isn't doing that, and it makes him upset to a point where he maybe wants to cry. And the thing that's really funny about this clip is that at no point do either guys say aloud that maybe their own actions have led to the fact that they aren't where they want to be in their career. They don't ever mention it. It's just, oh, I'm annoyed, I'm pissed off, and it's all these external factors that got me here. But I did nothing wrong to get me in this position. It's really insane. Let me play the clip here so you know what I'm talking about. But it's ridiculous, the lack of fucking self-awareness. It's absolutely shocking.
If you go off odds, it's going to hurt your feelings.
My wife put it in perspective for me. I was complaining about,
not having big black dick?
I was just complaining about, I wasn't complaining, but I was a little bit bummed out about not selling theaters or, some of my friends are selling lots of tickets. And I was like, but I'd sold out that night. And
you can go down that route.
I mean, she goes
once
like this.
every 2 weeks.
She said to me, she goes, hey, Brian, somebody took a picture with you tonight. And when they walked away, they went like that. They pumped their fist.
There's a guy, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, be a little, she goes, that's tough. Be thankful for that. And that's a big deal. And I never do that. And I never
That's
do it.
that's almost impossible
I have a
to
huge
do.
problem with it.
That's almost impossible to do. It's like if you're a Navy SEAL and you're in the middle of war and you're like, dude, we're some badasses. No. And they're like, what? No, this is what we do, dude. Of the bullets flying, who gives a fuck? That's what we're used to this.
Wow.
So it is an extreme example with the Navy SEAls, but it's just a
I need to be more grateful, and I need to be more thankful for where I'm at. I mean, and I try to practice.
You
it
should be
every
in
day, and I
theaters
suck
though.
at it.
You like you talking in comic. You're a monster. You're the one that taught me stand up, and I'm super grateful for that. Out of everyone, no one gives you the credit you deserve. We've been over this.
Yeah, thanks.
Like you're the reason I can afford private school for my kids for doing stand up. That's all Brian Callen.
No.
You're the one that pushed me. You should be a theater act, and I have anger towards people for it that you're not. I'll figure it out. I'm not there yet. You should be there. And it bothers me you're not.
You see how angry he got at the end? He got choked up wanting to cry. His wife has a miscarriage, doesn't shed a tear, doesn't run back home. Crystalia gets exposed as a diddler, sobs on screen. People are thanking him for doing a comedy special, bogey dripping out of his nose, sobbing on screen. Thinking about Brian selling out theaters, he nearly wants to cry. The guy's a psychopath, sociopath maybe, really on that level. Legitimately the things he cries about and gets emotional about. His friend not being able to fucking sell out theaters for, let's think why. Maybe it's the rapes. Maybe it's the sexual assaults that you never addressed. And the thing that's really annoying about this whole thing, right, is this. Both of these guys, I look at it similar to I'm watching a clips of Wings of Redemption going down a dark path and essentially going on his pity streams and basically saying he's never going to change and asking for money and shit. And DSP doing the same thing, grifting, asking, begging for money and just being horrible streamers, horrible content creators. I'm thinking to myself, I look at these guys and feel myself how are they still alive? How are they still doing this as a job? Why are people still tuning into this shit? And I realized, I forgot. These guys were the first ones in. So even my views that I'm giving them, even if I'm not watching their content, I'm watching other content that takes the piss out of them, you're still contributing to the kind of economy of them kind of being around and shit. So I think these guys, what they don't realize is that they were first in. They got they got kind of first in advantage, whatever that term is. And they didn't take advantage of it. They squandered it. They were kind of first on the whole podcast wave. They were part of the first batch of Rogan friends to appear on his podcast all the time. They were the first batch of people to have the podcast and then segue off to doing stand-up and using the podcast to sell more tickets thing. They were the first around. So they kind of got a lot of kind of first in advantage. But then when more competition came around, when it required a little bit more quality, a bit more invention, a little bit more creativity, they couldn't rise to the challenge. And then, of course, outside of that, they had their own issues in their personal life that was negatively affecting how they were perceived, who wanted to be in business with them. And obviously, it led to the point where it negatively affected them overall. To the point where now it's obvious to see that all of the bad press they've had over the years has now led to them having real life consequences in terms of affecting their ticket sales and shit. Because people don't give a fuck about them anymore because of the stuff that's been said about them in the press and the stuff that they maybe have been accused of. And in Brian's case specifically, he got accused of rape and sexual assault and shit. I'm sorry, but if I didn't do something like that, I'm fighting tooth and nail, especially if you're Brian Callen. Brian Callen, if you're paid attention, you know he made it really, really late. Really, really late in his career. It kind of helped he had rich parents to kind of help him. But he had to really struggle to make it where he's at. He kind of took a long time to finally crack in the acting, to finally crack and stand up and start selling tickets. For the longest time, Brendan was selling more than him, even though he started off very, very slow. Sorry, even though he started off, way after Brian did. So Brian had to work quite hard to get his position. If that's the case, and I had to work as hard as Brian did. You finally get your kind of your time in the light when you're in your 50s. You get a series on Schooled. You get a little spin-off with the other thing that he did. No, Goldberg is a show, and then the spin-off was Schooled. You finally get a Batman cameo thing. Like, things are looking on the up and up. And then someone comes and says that you raped them and you didn't do it. If that's me, I'm fighting tooth and nail. I'm not giving up without a fight. I'm putting out evidence. I'm going on podcasts. I'm saying my piece. He did none of that. Brian offered no explanation as to why that woman said what she said. No counter narrative, no nothing. He just tried to, keep quiet, not say nothing, and let it kind of move on. And then you're wondering why you're not able to sell tickets. You're wondering why you're not able to fucking sell out theaters and shit and get other shows. It's because most likely you didn't say shit because you know you're guilty. And people know as well, so they don't want to come and tune in with you. That's why they're not buying out your fucking shows. They're not, you're not getting theater gigs and shit because you're bad for business. No one wants to book a rapist, unfortunately. Chris is even having a hard time doing it. And he sells. That's the thing with Chris D'Elia. Chris D'Elia is having a hard time booking some shows, and he actually sells tickets, regardless of his numerous fucking allegations of the sick shit that he does. So imagine if you're Brian Cannon, who's always struggled to sell tickets naturally. So that lack of acknowledgement of that is fucking dizzying. But the really crazy part is Brendan at the end. Brendan at the end kind of admitting that he knows why. No, he understands he doesn't sell tickets, but he's going to help Brian sell them. Or help Brian should be like, what? Let's go back to that bit again. That was really bizarre what he said towards the end. There was a bit where he kind of said, hey, you should be selling tickets. It makes me angry. Let's go here. Let's go. I think somewhere around here.
I felt like a failure when I got to the UFC because I was in Cain Velasquez.
Too back.
Sure, then that's my...
That's how I am. Too much. Here. I think it's around here.
You talk to any comic, you're a monster. You're the one that taught me stand up, and I'm super grateful for that. Out of everyone, no one gives you the credit you deserve. We've been over this,
and also he doesn't give enough credit he deserves. Brendan puts more. Brendan talks about Rogan more than he does about Brian, even though Brian gave him his career. He downplays Brian, actually. He actually mocks Brian in public. Says he can't sell tickets. Says no one listens to his podcast. Blah, blah, blah. He actually gives Rogan the respect he should be giving Brian. Because without Brian, Brendan would be in some fucking kickboxing gym somewhere, like he says to Dana White. You know what I mean? He'd be having to do that shit, which he obviously hates to do. Brian actually was the one that was responsible for giving him his career, but he always gives Rogan his flowers and sucks off Rogan more.
Yeah, like you're the reason I can afford private school for my kids for doing stand up. That's all Brian Count. No. You're the one that pushed me. You should be a theater act, and I have anger towards people for it that you're not.
Imagine that. Imagine being so deluded and lacking self-awareness and being so wrapped in your own fucking ego that you think it's other people's fault that you didn't get a chance to be a theater act. Who do you think it's the fault of? The accusers. So you're victim blaming now. You're saying that you don't believe them. What makes you believe? I would like to know what makes him believe that Brian didn't do what he's been accused of, and why that would make you angry. Because if it's me and I didn't do it, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to fight to save my career. They can say what they want, the accusers, but I'm going to make sure that I fight for it and let it be known that I didn't do what they said because I don't want people to think that of me. Do you know what I mean? I care about my reputation type of thing. But they didn't. Why was that?
Not. I'll figure it out. I'm not there yet. You should be there.
You see that? You hear that? You hear that? He said, I'm not there yet. That's Brendan kind of admitting in his own weird redacted way that he's not a theater actor. Maybe that whole what's
talk about black dicks where we start.
Maybe that whole
thank you.
Maybe that whole cancelled gig in the UK finally humbled Brendan. Maybe he's realizing. Again, I think he's dumb anyway. He should have done it. No, I don't know who advised him to book out 2,000 capacity fucking arenas. Theaters in the UK when you can't sell out comedy clubs. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's honestly the most idiotic thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But this might be finally him admitting, yeah, I'm not there yet, but you should be.
Talk about black dicks where we start.
One more time.
towards people for it that you're not. I'll figure it out. I'm not there yet.
And how will he figure it out, really? How does Brendan figure out a way to become a theatre act? I think you have to get good at what you do. I think these guys all are looking for hacks. They're looking for viral clips of them laughing like, all that shit, right? That's how they want to get famous. They want to sell tickets from doing that. But actually, I feel like if these guys focused way more on actually being funnier, putting together better bits, filming better content, and then putting that shit out, that could actually help them sell more tickets, in my opinion. So crazy thing to go about, but actually if they focused on actually being funnier, stand-up comedians, it could actually benefit them, especially Brendan. If Brendan could turn it around and actually put together some decent bits, like he puts out a little 5-minute, 10-minute flipping content piece of him on different stages doing different bits, a little compilation, whacks it out there, says nothing about it, and it does numbers, that could actually improve his ticket sales demonstrably more than him talking about fucking COVID or the election or whatever. That could actually work better. But again, it takes work to sit down, write your jokes, hire somebody, pay them, go over it, rehearse it, all the stuff that he doesn't want to do. Just wants to kind of wing it and shit. But if he actually wants to become a theatre act, the only way he's going to do it is if he becomes funnier. Because at this moment, I think the goodwill, he doesn't have goodwill. I feel like a lot of people, there's that clip I played of you, sorry, was that, can you hear me? Yeah? Oh, sorry. There's a clip I played earlier of Theo Vaughn, I keep saying Vaughn. Theo Vaughn at a theatre, right? And it's sold out. And I feel like a lot of guys, some stand-up comedians, I don't know if you guys agree with me, I think some of them sell tickets on just likability. I think Theo Vaughn's a good example because his specials aren't that great, but he's incredibly funny on podcasts. So I think a lot of people just want to see him and be in his presence. So they buy tickets just to go see him, even though they don't, the show might not be the greatest. They want to just support him and maybe meet him, get a chance to sign, get a picture, whatever. But I don't think Brendan has that. Brendan isn't likable. So if he's not likable and people don't want to root for him, he has to get them with jokes. He has to be funnier. He has to be funny and hope that the comeback story can sell it. Like the kind of, the redemption arc in a weird way. But he's not going to sell tickets being a theatre act on likability. Like how Bert does. I imagine Bert does the same thing. Bert definitely gets people to come and see him perform because people just like to be in his presence. But Brendan doesn't have that thing. I don't think so. But yeah, it's just funny that Brian Callen doesn't understand that getting accused of rape can demonstrably hurt your ability to sell tickets. Especially to get booked for theatres and stuff, because that's to do with like Live Nation, Ticketmaster, all this malarkey, and they don't want to get cancelled too. They hate bad press. The fact that he doesn't realize that is absolutely crazy to me. He legitimately just thinks, it's these other forces at play. It's like, you're not that important, bro. You're just bad for business. No one wants to book you and then have people picketing outside or, fucking sending 1 million emails to get you taken off of it. It's too much hassle. So they'd rather just kind of, not book you at all and kind of keep it moving. That's always what they want to do. But for some reason, that guy doesn't really figure it out, doesn't really know for some reason. It's fucking weird, man. It's absolutely weird and redacted. Anyways, I'm going to have to leave you guys for a bit. I have to go to the fucking... I've got a little appointment with the doctors. I've got to do my asthma fucking review. I have to get a new asthma pump because, as some of you can tell, I'm keep clicking the back of my throat. My allergies are fucking acting up, unfortunately, because it's really warm out here in Europe. So I have to in Europe. So I have to erupt, as Brendan says, erupt. So I'm gonna go to the doctors quickly and get back, and then when I come back, I'll carry on streaming. So meet me back here in about half an hour. I'll be back here, hopefully. Half an hour, won't be too long. And then we can continue on. As well. But yeah, allergies are going for me, so pray for me. I don't want to be one of those guys that pops into a GP and then I don't come back out again. So pray for me, right? I don't want to stick something up my nose and I don't come back out again. I'm just like, and I'm on a fucking t-shirt, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be airbrushed on a t-shirt, so pray for me. It's a routine test, so pray for me. I don't want to end up on a fucking t-shirt somewhere, like on a GoFundMe or something. Nah, I don't want that. I don't want that life. So pray for me. But yeah, I'll be back in about half an hour. Thanks again for tuning in. Regardless, anyway, like the stream. Make sure you like it. Be back here very, very soon. Peace out to the chat, and I'll be back hopefully in about half an hour. But take care for now.